I can listen to music all the time like this, it gets me going. So, but anyways, hey everybody, we are back with another segment of comic culture. Joining me is Dan Delatorre. Hey Dan, how's it going?
It's going just fine, man. Always a pleasure to be here with both you gentlemen.
Yeah, and also Fernando Nando Knight. How's it going, Nando?
It is going as great as possible.
Yeah. So I think the last time you guys saw me, I had long hair, I believe. I was trying to remember I think so. Last time you seen me, I had long hair, if I remember correctly. And I cut it
last time I saw you in person, you had long hair.
Yes, that's right.
Ephraim, at our age, we should be happy we have hair, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh my gosh, my daughter cut it. She goes, Dad, it's time to cut your hair. I said, okay. So then she cut it. Then I go, dang it, I kind of miss it being long, So hopefully I'll keep on growing. Hopefully in about a year or so, my hair will get long the way it used to be.
Well, I have two brothers that are bald, and they hate me. They just do.
Same. So, all my mom's side of the family, all my cousins, by the time they were 18, 19, they were all bald. So every time they see me, hands are on my head, like grabbing my hair, going like, you son of a...
Get away!
And I see your son every now and then in pictures, Nando. He has long hair too, right?
Yes, he's got the curls for the girls.
Yeah, cool. So this show is called Comic Culture. We try to get together about once a month talking about comic books, movies, TV shows, anything that catches our interest, sports, the comic book market. We're going to be talking about it in the next couple of hours. But you guys ready to go?
Ready, sir.
Okay, let me bring up the slides here if I can find them. Did I lose the slides already? God, I'm such an amateur. Hang on a second here. Get back up again.
You can't fool us. You're a consummate professional.
If you only knew the prep that he has behind all this work.
Absolutely. Come on. It's worth the wait, people. It's worth the wait.
I told these guys in the green room, so to speak, that I wanted to do this more than once a month. But then when I get everything together, I go, I'm just going to do it once a month. So, but before we get going, actually, to see if anybody has joined us. Oh, we have Spine Ticks. Cool.
Hey, Spine Ticks.
Hey, my brother. I will be on his show on Saturday. Yeah, I never miss it unless there's a good reason for it.
I'm going to talk about it really soon. So let's get going. So the show is called Comic Culture. Like I said, we talk about comic book news, pop culture, movies, TV shows, trending stories, and let's talk sports. And I added a couple of new segments. The first one is called Shout Outs. When I first started my YouTube channel, I used to give shout outs to Instagram people that I follow, and then also people on YouTube. So I decided to bring that back. It's going to be our first segment, and I'm picking 4 YouTube channels that I watch on a regular basis. First one is Triple G Comics. It's one of my good friends. He's over there in the UK. We do videos together. It seems like at least once a week or every couple of weeks. Next one is Hydra Collectibles on the right-hand side. That we also, both of these guys are really good channels. I watch them on a regular basis. And then there's Spine Ticks on the bottom left-hand side. But God, at least 4 or 5 months ago on a Saturday, I was on YouTube. I go, I'm going to see what I can find. And I didn't know Spine Ticks at all. I clicked on him and I heard somebody's voice and it was Dan. So I go, okay, I'm staying. So I didn't know Dan was on this show at all. And when I was younger, living in the Bay Area in San Francisco, Saturdays for me, I used to go party, go to clubs, go to, drinking and everything. And but now that I'm older, my idea of having a good time is going on YouTube on Saturdays and hanging out with Spine Ticks and all you guys from basically 8 to 11 o'clock. It's just a really good time. It's like a party, and I don't have to go outside.
Seth Lordley, we've become friends. I love his show, his whole content. It's a different show in the sense where you do have everyone has a long week, and you just unwind on that show. It's hilarious, and that's the only show that I say drinking is probably required.
Yeah. So it's a really good show, and I was on it once, and it was a blast, and I've been hooked ever since. So, and my last one, I just found this recently. When you go on YouTube, sometimes they give you, hey, why don't you check this channel out? And this thing is called All Things Kenna and Cisco. It's a husband and wife. He's Mexican, and their shorts are hilarious. The first video I clicked on, it was a short, and he's like at an amusement park, and he's got these 2 little babies, and he's going, "Don't have kids." And then it's a minute short, and he goes, "Where can I get a drink?" Because I just bought a hot dog and a ice and a drink. It cost me $60, and it goes from there. It's a very funny channel, and everybody's channel that I mentioned here is in the description. So I put it on there. Okay. And yeah, a couple more comments from Spinetix. Yep, I'm always supporting everybody. You know, I just have so much fun, and I really enjoy, I'm not just saying this because I dance on the show, but it's a really good time watching you guys on Saturday. So, you know, I really appreciate it. And let's get on with the regular show. Okay, this is comic books, a couple comic books that I just recommended that I've been reading in the last few weeks or months. First one is Hollow's Eve. This was a 5-part. It came out in 5 issues. So this is a really great character. Have any of you guys ever heard of Hollow's Eve?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I just really like her character. She got it. She got her powers from Madeline Pryor, and I think it was called Dark Web series when it was a crossover between the X-Men and Spider-Man. She's the girlfriend of Ben Reilly, who was Spider-Man's clone, and Madeline Pryor, who was the Goblin Queen, gave her a bag full of masks. You can see her purse, and inside the mask, obviously it's a mask, but when she puts the mask on, she becomes that character. She recently, in her own series, she became a werewolf, and she scratched somebody, and that person became a werewolf also. That's how her powers work. And also within this series, she also put on a Captain America mask, and she had, you know, the powers of Captain America. She put on a Hulk mask, and she got the powers of the Hulk.
Wow.
And people are saying one of these days she's going to have a Thanos mask. And what could happen? But she has all the powers of these characters. It's a really, really good character. I really enjoy it. She first came out, though, I believe, in 1995, Spider-Man: The Lost Years. She's been around for a while, but she just recently got her powers. I really highly recommend this book. It's a really good storyline. Next one issue just came out about a week ago. It's Justice League versus Godzilla and King Kong. So I just read issue number 1. It seems to me it's like an Elseworld story from the DC universe, because the first couple pages, it has Superman asking Lois Lane to marry him. And in the regular DC universe, they're already married. So I just read the first issue, and it got me hooked from the beginning. So these are just 2 of my recommendations. Have you guys seen Justice League, Godzilla and King Kong?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, I highly recommend that book. Like it's only issue number 1 has already got me hooked on that. You know, I can't wait for the
Dustin Nguyen has some amazing variant covers for this storyline that's coming up. So that's all I can say is there's some amazing covers.
Yeah, there's all kinds of covers. I didn't want to put them all on there, you know, just make these 2 books that I showed. But these are just 2 of my recommendations of recent books that I have read. And we got another comment here from Spinetix. Hasbro is releasing a Hollow's Eve Marvel Legends figure. I may get it. You already got it on pre-order. Shoot, I may get it now. Thanks for the info. Okay, next slide. Comic book news. This is just information that I gathered, obviously, on the internet, regarding comic book news. We're going to talk about each slide. And first one, a friend of mine, Nerd to Ween, he started a Kickstarter program. He was on my channel. We interviewed him. It's called Here Walks Monster. Well, he's reached the money he's supposed to get. So this book is going to come out. I think it's going to start coming out on. It's just 1 book. It's coming out on beginning of January, I believe. It's a 10-page Aspen. It's a debut comic from the creative team of Kyle Goodman and Martin Oliver Dagenes. Here's Walk Monsters is not just another zombie-infected comic. Yes, both are present in the comic. It is truly a tale of all of humanity when society crumbles into a zombie apocalypse. I think it's cool when anybody, especially a friend that I know, actually has created a comic book. So I highly recommend checking this out if you can. You know, so. And once again, it's called Here Walks Monsters. And next up, I went to look at Batman. I've seen which books Batman has available for every month. There were so many of them. I was going to put them on there, but I think it would have took me at least a half an hour to name them all. So I just chose the 4 books, new Batman books that are coming out in November, December, and January. First one from the left, this is Batman Off-Road number 1, coming out November 25th. And then we have Batman 9 Echoes number 1. This almost seems like a Michael Keaton book. And then at the bottom left, you have Batman Santa Claus Silent Night number 1. And January, we have Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries number 1. Nando, I know you're a Batman fan. Are you going to get all these books?
The Silent Night did pique my interest a little bit, just because I'm a cornball when it comes to kind of stories like that. I like the whole kind of mix and stuff like that. But the 89, I'll take a look at it again, because the first time they read in the 89, like I was in it for the first issue and two, and then after that I kind of fell out of it.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? You gonna any interest in any of these books?
No, because I've not gotten into modern comics since about 2 years ago. I put my toe in the water, gave it a genuine, college try to see what I liked. It didn't really do much for me. But what surprises me is how long lasting the Batman character is.
Yes.
As you're saying, they're almost oversaturating the market with Batman, because it's still a pretty good seller. It has to be.
Yeah.
So that you got to make money where you can. But I thought they would have ran out of ideas, but clearly they're still coming up with new concepts.
They every now and then they always bring out a new Batman, so to speak, but it always goes back to Bruce Wayne. I mean, he's the head guy. I mean, for DC comic books, I think we mentioned this before in the past on other videos. I think without Batman, I don't think DC would probably not even exist. I mean,
they close their doors. They close their doors in a hurry.
Yeah. Let's see who else is checking. Who's here? We have Dagger Cards. Hey, thanks for showing up.
Hey, Dagger.
And we're calling here from
that's his way of saying turn down my mic, so I'm going to do just that.
And
I know you too well, sis.
To assume the position, and also the Comic Cave. To everybody who's joined us so far, I really appreciate it. One thing I just can't get the hang of it, Dan. Every time I watch Spine Takes on Saturday, when he shows everybody that's on the screen, their comments, it takes over like a half an hour just for that alone. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I would get so confused seeing who clicking on the right person after person. That's just a lot.
I don't know how he does it, but he does a professional job every Saturday doing that. Doesn't lose his place. I try not to bother him, even though there's lots of things we want to throw on, little jokes and all that, because it's that sort of kind of festive mood. But again, it's a great Rick Run show, and he's got such a following, so that's why it's a pleasure for me to be there, as often as I can.
So I'm curious. I do want to read Offworld #1. That looks like a good storyline to me, and I don't know why, but even recently I've been reading some of the Batman Scooby-Doo adventures. I just like the combination. It doesn't take itself seriously. I think it's just good, clean fun. Let me see here. And next one, we have X-Men on February. This book's coming out in February 2024. That will finally fix Hank McCoy, the Beast. If anybody's been reading X-Men, the Beast has just turned and he's just been a bad guy. I mean, he killed Wolverine, and he made clones of Wolverine just to do his bidding. And he just went completely off the rack, so to speak. And he was just doing it his way, no matter who he hurt. And he became more to me like the Dark Beast from Age of Apocalypse. But looks like they're trying to make him back to more or less the original Beast, which I liked a lot. I just didn't like the way they were taking this character. He just really became a bad guy, and he was one of the founding X-Men, obviously. So
how long has this storyline been going on, where the Beast sort of goes rogue?
Oh, well, it's over a year now. Ever since they went on their island, I'm drawing a blank out the name of their island. He just wants the survival of all mutants, and he will go to any means to get to his end. But he became evil. I mean, he was just single-mindedly killing people, experimenting on people, didn't care what happened to them. And Wolverine was after him, and they had a big fight, and he escaped, of course. But now it looks like they're trying to bring him back to more or less the Beast that he was, which I enjoyed a lot when it was the Beast and Wonder Man, those team ups in the Avengers. I really liked them a lot. So we'll see what happens to him. And next slide up, Marvel announces a brand new Ghost Rider for 2024. What's your opinion on this, guys? I mean, there's a new Punisher that's coming out, and now there's a new Ghost Rider, but the 3 Ghost Riders they're still going to be around. So they're trying to bring on a 4th Ghost Rider. Do you guys like this, or are you guys getting passed on this?
You're up first, Andrew. Go ahead, bud.
Ghost Rider is kind of is my guilty pleasure of Marvel, so I'm always interested to see what they want to do with Ghost Rider. Introducing a new character, a new version of it, or a new character addition to it, it doesn't bug me. Because we all know that eventually something's going to circle back to the original character, or it's going to kill off another character or whatever, because in the comics, nobody's really gone forever anyway. So I think it's fine. I'm interested to see what they're going to do, because I think this is one of the staples of Marvel that kind of doesn't get used as much or talked as much as it should, because I think this is definitely a character that can be brought to the forefront more frequently in this generation. I think kind of like the darker style fits a little bit more in today's world. So I think this kind of fits better.
They have Robbie Reyes, which I liked as a Ghost Rider. He was in the recent Avengers books, but then he got lost in time, and I kind of got lost trying to keep up with what the heck is going on with him. And that's a more recent Ghost Rider. He hasn't been around for more than between 5 and 10 years, I think. So now they're bringing in another one. Who knows? Maybe it will be a female Ghost Rider to make it a little bit different, But we'll see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. At least, hopefully, it's at least an interesting character.
Do you guys remember when they had supposedly ended the Johnny Blaze Ghost Riders, and they had said they made a big to do about it? This is back in the beginning of the Copper Age, I think. They said this is our last issue. You won't see Ghost Rider ever again. And I took them at their word at the time. I didn't think they'd bring him back, but they did. And I was actually delighted because I liked the Danny Cates Ghost Rider, and it made me think, well, wait a minute. This would be interesting to see new and different people, how they handle that spirit and that power, of the Ghost Rider. And I still say the Ghost Rider is still the most underrated of all the superheroes regarding his power, but like anything else, they got to be careful with it. They could get carried away, like what's his name? He was writing the Hulk for a while, and he did good in the Thor run. I'm talking about a modern writer, but why am I drawing a blank on his name? Anyway, he's gotten way off the rails.
Yeah,
and he's lost me and a lot of other readers. So anyway, just approach with caution with these new characters. Never ever forget where you guys came from. Silver, Bronze, and Copper Age are your golden years that you need to always keep in mind.
So we had a motorcycle, 2 motorcycles. Then Robbie Reyes had a car. I don't know what this guy's going to have, like roller skates or a skateboard, or we'll figure out, what's he going to be driving, So we'll see.
He'll have
Donny Cates is what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
He'll have the Uber from hell.
There you go.
Let's check the comments before we go any further. Dagger says it's a Spine Tick roll call. I wouldn't be able to go through everybody's name. I get so confused. So let me see here. Dagger says I chug. I probably meant Coke Zero Sugar to get through the show. And let's see. He also got the new Punisher. Have you read it? Let us know if you liked it or yet. I haven't read it yet, so we'll see.
Now that Sith called me out, I'm sitting as still as possible. I'm not trying to not make a sound because he'll comment on it.
Yeah. So Spintex comes up with a good point. All these character reboots, reimaginings reminds me of sports teams trying to rebuild for championships and falling short. A lot of times, I think they want to bring in new readers, and it's also a money grab. They're thinking, hey, we have a new character. Maybe people will buy the book more.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. It's recycling old movies to make new movies. Same type of reboots are just old recycled ideas. Pretty sad they won't have any new ideas. Yeah, very true. All right, on to the next slide. A Greater Loss and Superman Loss, number 8. I've been reading this. Basically, this series it's only 10 issues long. Spider-Man. Superman goes with the Justice League. There's some kind of chaos up in space. He goes, and for everybody back on Earth, he's only gone for a couple of minutes, so to speak, but he gets lost for over 20 years in space. And it takes him a long time to get back home. And he has post-traumatic, stress disorder, and he's just not the same. He's sleeping on the floor. He's all out of it. So there's an event that's going to happen in Lost issue number 8 with Lois Lane. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I did read about it. It's very tragic. We don't know if it's going to actually see what happens to Lois Lane's character, but this is issue number 8, and I highly recommend reading this book. Have you guys been reading it?
I read the first 2 issues in Lost, and it was good. So yeah. I was in. I got caught up and haven't finished.
Yeah,
or caught up at least.
You're a busy man on weekends, so I know why.
Well, here's my first thought on this, though. Isn't this the same Superman who can go back in time? If he goes back to Earth, can he just simply rewind the clock and say, "Hey, well, I kind of screwed up. Let's clear this up here"?
Maybe. I never thought about that, but he doesn't do it in this series. He's just he's a shell of his former man, so to speak. He's just so out of it. He's been lost for 20 years and everything's changed. He thought everything has changed, but for them, it was just a couple of minutes, people on Earth. So he's trying to readapt. So it's been a good series so far. Highly recommend it. And a new Spider-Man book is coming out in January. This is the Spectacular Spider-Man. It's going to unite Miles Morales and Peter Parker. They're going to have their own standalone comic book series. We'll see how long it lasts. Is being drawn by Humberto Ramos. So I may pick up the first cover because it looks pretty cool. And I'll read the first couple of issues because I'm a big Spider-Man fan. You guys think you'll read this at all? I know Danny says you're not into new books anymore as much as we are. But Nando, you think you're going to pick this book up?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try because a goal of mine for next year is to try to read at least one issues per like the new storylines that come out, just to kind of stay grounded with it.
So I'm sure there's going to be 1,000 covers for this too. Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
but Spider-Man, like Batman, is their #1 seller. There's always been countless series that they always push out. Even back in our day, Ephraim, when you had ASM and then you had Marvel Team Up and then you had Peter Parker Spectacular, and it went on from there, and they're still doing it.
Yeah, we'll see how this series goes. I mean, I love Humberto Ramos. If anybody ever goes to a Comic-Con and just talks to him, he's a very nice guy.
He's very nice.
Quick. He always takes a couple of seconds just to talk to me, and always a cool conversation. And next one. So I found this list talking about books, and this is Batman and Transformers and Spider-Man top leading pools bestseller list. This is compiled by over 100 direct market comic book stores from their sales from Tuesday to Friday, what is known as Wednesday Warriors. So these are basically the top 10 selling books. First one we talked about is Batman. He's leading the way, and then Transformers. Then we have Spider-Man and Gods, Uncanny Spider-Man, X-Men Red #17, Punisher #1, X-Force, Darth Vader, and Birds of Prey. And everything's Marvel, except we got 2 DC and 1 Image book. So are you guys surprised by this list?
No.
No. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know Batman would be #1. I always thought that Spider-Man would be #1, but obviously Batman, is leading the way. Good for him. And this one is Batman 139. The writer is Chip Zdarsky, and artist is Jorge Jimenez. I've been reading Batman, especially Batman, Catwoman, Gotham War. I've liked it. I thought it was a good series. So
Gotham War was pretty good.
Yeah, and so this is the next slide. It says Batman makes a top spot on Bleeding Cool's weekly bestseller list. Transformers #2. Amazing Spider-Man is behind Batman with a 20% sales gap. That's a lot. And then,
that's a lot.
100 retailers contribute to the bestseller list data. So I didn't know Batman was leading by that much, and it shows how popular he was. Like I said, if he was gone from DC, I don't think we wouldn't see DC anymore. So very unique what he does. And we have Who-Dat. Hey, thanks for showing up, Who-Dat. Hey, you're awake. I would have invited you. Okay, let's get on to the next slide. And so a couple weeks ago was registration for Comic-Con. This registration was basically for people who went last year. The whole thing took about an hour. Basically, on Saturday, we logged on, and then they picked people randomly to get badges for Comic-Con. And I was fortunate enough to get a badge for next year, so I'm going there. So Nando, I expect you to go there too. So hopefully we'll see each other.
I will be there.
Yeah, and then this coming Saturday is going to be the whole. They're going to do it again, but this is open now to anybody basically in the world. So they sold the first turn was for people who went last year. This Saturday, starting at 8 o'clock, you can open up their site and then put your name there, and then they'll put you on. At 9 o'clock, they're going to start picking people randomly for Comic-Con badges, and usually it's done within an hour. Then that's it, and then that's the badges. They do it really early. Comic-Con obviously is not until next year, but they already did it in November. I remember when I first used to go, they used to sell the badges on site for next year, but they stopped doing that. I don't know for whatever reason. But yeah, it's coming up. Dan, have you ever been to Comic-Con? Would you ever like to go?
Never gone. I would like to go. I was flirting with the idea of going next year. Given what I've got on my plate, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, hopefully this year. I've done 2 actual panels at Comic-Con. and I'm going to register again to do it for 2024. So hopefully I'll be chosen. Myself and Ian Hoodrat and some other people, we always go on stage and we just talk about our YouTube channel, how we got started and stuff like that. Nando, did you go last year or in February? I mean, in July, Nando?
Yeah,
you were there, right?
yeah, I was there, and then I was at the panel with when you guys were sitting down talking about with you, Ian, Bronze and Modern Gods, and Swag.
Yeah, so we did it 2 years in a row now. So hopefully we'll do it again next year. We'll see how it goes.
I'll be there again.
Okay, so Nando, it's your turn. So what's new with the Nando night? You ready?
Sure.
Did you say you wanted to show the video at the beginning, right?
Yeah, let's do the video first.
All right, so this is a quick video that Nando sent me of some of his, he's a vendor, sells comic books, and we'll show the video first.
He didn't have time to do his mustache, man. That's how much of a hurry he was in. What? I said you were in such in a hurry you couldn't even do your mustache. You did. He did when I did. Dude, I love these.
You know where they're at?
They're in that corner, right?
Oh, okay. I guess they moved far. Yeah, we're in the back. Left.
Okay, so this last or 2 weekends ago, or was it last week?
2 weekends ago, November 5th.
Yeah, you went to Near Mint Sunday. How'd it go?
Near Mint Sunday was great. First of all, I want to say a thank you to CJ and the Near Mint Sunday crew because they put on a really well-run show. They do their best to provide an environment of books for collectors and for people to come out and enjoy the community. It's a free event and to get in, free parking, so that way you save all your money for books. So this was their last show of the year that they do. They usually did 3, but I think this year they only did 2. This was their last one for this year. They're going to recalibrate for next year, and they're going to set up a new way to do their show next year. So we're excited to see that.
Wow.
I'll probably be involved with that somehow because I will always help out this. You'll see the guy on the gentleman who won the raffle. That was our 1 year giveaway, our 1 year anniversary giveaway raffle. I think he got the Wolverine. Was it the Wolverine that he got? Yeah. So he got a Wolverine number 1 signed by Frank Miller in a 7.0 as a raffle. That was our little giveaway that we did on Sunday. So it was a great show. Lots of vendors between, I want to say it was like 25, 30 vendors there. You start to see some of the same old guys that you usually run into that you start building friendships and relationships with. But other than that, it's just another opportunity for me to expand the TNK brand and to continue to push and grow the business that we started to build. And it was a lot of fun. The setup is tough because now that I have bigger spaces, it takes more time and effort to put up the booth, but the work is worth it. It was a lot of fun. I want to shout out Jason Lego, my buddy, Iggy Osorio, and Nick Vargas, who all helped set up and help run my table with me to let me basically breathe easy and stress-free. They can help me with that. They always are really helpful for that. So it was a good show. It was a lot of fun. I was exhausted just because the day before I had my homecoming event back in college days. So I had a homecoming event where I was on the field performing at halftime and did a post-game show, and then got back home and got my U-Haul prepped and took my U-Haul the next morning to go do that. So it was a pretty tiring day, but it was worth it. It was all worth it. Anytime we can be a part of the community and do some events, it's totally worth it.
Okay, give everybody an idea who's ever thought about doing this. What time did the Near Mint Sunday, what time did they open up the doors?
The doors opened at 10.
And what time did you get there?
7:45.
So all those 2 hours you were just basically setting up.
Correct.
So I'm assuming that everything obviously packed in your car the night before.
Well, because we so
Oh,
funny, because I live so far, my wife and I we got the U-Haul Friday night, and then we took it to my father-in-law's house in Corona, and my wife drove our car, I drove up the U-Haul van, parked the U-Haul at her dad's house, and then we stayed the night there. And then Saturday morning, we got up an early morning to be at USC early Saturday morning. We were there all day till probably got home around 9 o'clock at night. Then basically switched cars the next morning where I took the U-Haul to the event. She took our car back home to go get our kids. So Friday is when I loaded up the van, and Sunday morning is when I took it to the show.
you have to have a certain passion to do this, because I've thought about doing something like this, but I was like, oh my God, you enjoy what you do, but it is a lot of work, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I tell people that, you're gonna sweat, you're gonna put physical effort into it. It's not just you don't just get a table out and put a box of books out and hope for the best. You have to plan, you have to prep, you have to have a system in place, you have to have an agenda in your mind and how you're gonna set everything up. Like even how you pack up your van to make sure that the first thing unloaded is your grid wall. So that way your grid wall is set up first, then your tables get set up, then your books get set up, and then you pull the wall books out to put the wall books up last, right? So there's a whole system that you have to get things done. So for me, I do it that way. I mean, my black cases are alphabetical, so they're labeled, so they're really easy to place out. My wall box, my long boxes, which are my $2 books, those get put out easy because they are labeled already what's what. And then I put a front page on front of them so people know what they're digging in. Prices already listed on there for them too, so everything's there. But then the work that goes into it ahead of time, right? You're making sure that your books are fair market value priced current market, not for what that was a year ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. You're
Yeah.
putting in that effort like weeks in advance, and if you get any new inventory before you go up there, making sure those books are ready to go. You have to make sure you have everything ready.
So all the books that are on this wall and all the books that are in the boxes, do you have to go through each one? You said you go through each one like about a couple of weeks before to update the pricing, or could go higher, could go lower, correct?
Right. So yeah. So usually, if I have a show coming up, it'll be about a 3-week process for me. Like, because I mean, obviously, I have a full-time job. I drive a lot, and I have a beautiful wife and beautiful kids that I gotta still be dad and husband to. So this is like my late night part-time job for now. So
Wow.
it's a lot. It is. That's why I put it out 3 weeks out in advance, because I'm up probably 9 o'clock at night to 2 in the morning, 3 days a week prepping, and then I'm ready to go. And then usually I always tell myself, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. But that's when all my friends who support me, they're the ones that like laugh at me and tell me that, you over prep and you're probably more prep than everybody else is.
Now, do you on the picture on the left-hand side, your setup, do you ever see yourself getting bigger than that as far as wall space and more
Uh,
boxes?
I mean, as the inventory grows, yes. Because I mean, this right here was 12 long boxes of $2 books, and then it was 32 black short boxes.
That's a lot of boxes, man. So before we
Yeah.
go on
And
to, go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean it's still not enough books, right? It's still not all the books in the world, right? And I'm still missing books that people ask me for. People will come up to me and be like, "Do you have this?" And it's like if I've sold it recently, I know it on the top of my head, and I'm like, "No, I don't have it." And then there's other books people ask me for, and I'm just like, "Yeah, I don't have that," or I'm like, "Oh, I do have that," So it's always that game of like chasing what people want, but suggesting being able to alternate it and switch to something, being like, "I don't have that, but I do have this one, or I do have this copy of this book in that series line that you may not have," or something like that. So
Nando?
Nando, if you could, is that the optimal size for you, or would you want to have another table or two and more wall space behind you?
um I kind of like, I think if I had room for one more wall, I'd probably do one more wall book, like raw wall book rack, only because I would, as I would sell wall books, I'd replace them with a new book. So it was like constantly like it would be not like kind of like filling them in as they would sell out. But if I could put them all out at once, the old retailer in me says if you can't see it, you can't sell it if you can't see it. So you
Right,
want to make sure
right.
you want to show it off as much as you can. But with the other side, because I split it up. I do raw on one half and then slabs on the other half. So you're not mix and match. You actually have it designated, even to the point where it's like split up by like signature series and just blue label. So like it has its system to it. So I don't know. I like the 24 feet of space is pretty much the max. I did that at Comics and Cocktails at a show in Glendale, California. And that was a really good size show, but it was like 4 6-foot tables across. So it was really well spread out and really easy to get to, and you didn't feel cramped, you didn't feel like you were stepping on anybody while you were digging. So I like anything between a 20 to 24-foot space.
If I could make one recommendation, I noticed this also on the video for your back wall. I see some vendors, they have like a string going across, so that way, none of the books would fall if something ever happened, you bumped into it or something. Just my advice, so.
Yeah. We've had the string on it before, and for sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends. But when we do outdoor stuff, it's for sure like the string has to be out there.
Before we go on to your next slide, let's look at some of the comments. Spinetix is going to be at WonderCon, so I plan to be there also. So you're going to be there, Nando? I think you might have told me you may try to be a vendor there, correct?
I did apply for WonderCon, so I'm supposed to hear by end of December.
Nice. And we have Mike Havoc here. He says he was the money man at TNK. Cool.
Thanks, Steve.
Dave's as passionate as Nando. Yeah, you have to be passionate to do this, so.
By the way, shout out Comic Cave. Those are the three guys, Isaac, Jose, and Jason. They are as
cool.
Dedicated to the comic book fanhood as any group of people I've ever met in my life. They really helped motivate, push me into becoming a vendor. And they do a lot for me. Yeah, make havoc, whatever. Get out of here. Love you, Steve.
And also, look who showed up. Hood Rat. Hey, Hood.
Hey, Ian.
I want to be talking about you later on tonight in the slide, so hang in there, man. And let me see. We have one more from Make Havoc. I sold more than Nick and Iggy. Competition is good. So. All right. So next slide. You told me about this. It's been 1 year anniversary, basically, since you started all this. So, talk about it, man. How did that year go?
It was a lot of ups. There was a lot of learnings, but a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of amazing people this year and getting into the industry, really, trying to learn. I came in like trying to figure out how to sell it as a vendor, trying to sell at one show, like as a short box, just standing there going, "Hi, you want to see what I got? Like, take a look at what I have." And then I was like, no, I got to be better than this. I got to do more. And so then it got to one table, and then it got to two tables, and then it got to the bigger 25 to 30 foot spaces, and getting a better inventory, having people help me find good books, helping me understand what kind of books I should be looking for. But I've been told I have a good eye for books, so it's helpful. Yeah, so that the one on the left is the first show at Near Mint Sunday earlier this year. Doesn't look very good. Then on the one on the right was Comic-Con Ontario, Revolution Ontario. That was the first time I did like a big show, like major show that you had to like get badges and stuff like that for.
Cool.
And those were a lot of learnings in that, like how to set up and tear down at a big show like that. Because obviously, they come in and they like give you pallets to put product on, and they wheel your pallets into your booth, and then you set up from there. And then leaving product unattended overnight for a 2-day show, it's a whole different learning.
So just to let you know, and the first time I seen Nando at Near Mint Sunday in his own booth, he was outdoors. So I'm not sure if this was before or after. I go, wow. So they let him come inside the last couple of times on Near Mint Sunday. So he's moving on up, So
yeah. Now they gave me an anchor corner, so now I guess I'm really moving up. So
yeah. So you said they starting next year when Near Mint Sunday comes back, they're gonna do something of a reboot. Is it gonna be at the same place? Do you know, or do you have any information at all?
Not yet. All I know is on the last post, CJ likes to say good, thank you for all the vendors who attend and all the fans, because without the community and the fans, there's no show. Yeah. He just said that they're retooling it and they're going to come up with a new idea and have a date for the next show soon.
Interesting. All right, let's go on next show. There's a couple of more of your events. What's the one on the left? Is that the one that just went by?
So no. So the one on the left was I split a booth with my buddy Nick Fuzzy and Fat Man Comics. At 626 Con. Right. So it was basically, I just brought out a couple boxes. This was the weekend after Ontario, so I was kind of con hungover. I was like tired and didn't know what to do, so I brought out what I could. Brought some wall books, brought some slabs, brought some sign books and some sets. And then the one on the right was Comics and Cocktails for the first show that they did, which is run by We Can Be Hero Comics out in Chatsworth. So this was their first show that they did. It was the first booth I got from them was an 8x8 kind of square. Obviously trying to figure out how to best bring as many books possible, but fit them in a booth that fits people. It's rough. So it was a kind of a challenge on that one to kind of figure out. I think that's always the biggest challenge on any show is, especially if it's the first show for you, like you don't know what the size of your space is going to be. How can you best utilize it? Are they providing tables? Are they not providing tables? And then what kind of, obviously the hard part is what kind of show is it going to be, right? Is it a big book show? Is it a dollar bin diving book show? Is it mid-grade show? Like, so you try to bring a little bit of everything because you want to see what sticks.
So you said that it's called Cocktails and Comics, you said?
Yeah, Comics and Cocktails.
Comics and Cocktails. So people are drinking there.
Yeah, so they have it's actually held in an Elks Lodge.
Okay.
There's a full bar. Your people are walking around with a drink, and I will tell you, it is hot inside that place. The first time we did it, which was dead of the summer, and it was so hot, like you were getting ice cold Modelo's, and they weren't even doing anything to you because you were sweating it out. So it was good.
It was not air conditioned.
They couldn't fix the air conditioning. The second time they did the show, though, the air conditioning was working. So there was that the second show.
Nice.
So, Nanto, so regarding your, because obviously you need product to do what you're going to do, with the economy and all the rest of it, how is it finding new collections and all that these days?
So when you find big ones, it's pretty good. Smaller ones, people are trying to sell short boxes here and there at a time, so you're able to find some good deals. Sometimes people offer you books, and you're just like, I'm going to pass on that because the offer is too high, and people don't want to move. Because there always comes to that consideration where people know, quote unquote, what they have, and they don't want to let it go. So when you have that, it's very hard to kind of finagle and maneuver and manage that kind of conversation. So you have to be the bigger person in times and just be like, okay, that's what you're staying at, then good luck to you, and I hope you find a buyer for that, because I'm not going to budge on that. I have to know what I can take collections in at. My whole shtick is I don't like to gouge prices. I don't like to go over the top on people because I want people to come back. Therefore, like if I can't find the collection at a certain price point, then I'm going to pass on it, because I can't risk trying to risk the whole collection and getting all the money back on one book. I want to be able to do it with all the books. I don't want to just do it with one or two. So, you have to be able to find that collection and find how it works. And sometimes you go to LCSs and you find some books that you're just like, oh, that's a good wall book. That's good eye candy. I need to have that book because it'll get attention. So some of those books, you just realize that, hey, if I'm going to break even, or if you're lucky, they give you like a little deal, then you're happy with that because you just want that attention. Like, you have to realize that some books I'm going to have on a wall that I'm going to break even because I need you to have that attention to come to my table.
Do you ever see yourself going outside of Southern California
for shows?
Yes.
I don't know. It depends. I mean, next year for me. I'm really challenging myself to do things that made me even more uncomfortable than this year. So we'll see. I mean, Arizona's not too far away, so there's always an option for that potentially. But Vegas obviously is another area that's not too bad. But we'll see. I mean, I've even thought of, how far north in California do I want to go potentially.
Yeah. Cool. Before we go on to the next slide, some Dave collects. Hey, thanks for showing up.
Hey, Dave, Spinetix Bro.
Yeah, obviously, right there, Spinetix is. So cool. Thanks for showing up, guys. Let's get on to the next slide, the last picture.
That was near mint. That was the last setup for the year. That was one of the biggest setups I had space-wise total.
So it looks like there's nobody around you, man. Everybody was like, they want to come near you, man, because you're probably one of the vendors around now.
That was the setup. That was before the doors opened. So it was I was able to finally snap a picture, and so we had one full table with just long boxes that kind of crept over to the other side, and then the other were like 32 short boxes. And those short boxes go from A to Z. That also include signed books, sets. I had a short box that had that just Marvel and DC horror. I had a short box that had some Dell, Charlton, Gold Key books that were just all mixed in there as well too, because like I said, you want to try to have a little bit for everybody. And one guy came up to me and he was like, I can't find Gold Key books anywhere. And I go, which is really funny because if you look around, you can actually find them more frequently now. But I was like, well, that's great. I said, hopefully I'm the only one in here that has them, so you can keep coming back to me. But it was just really good to see, and people were like surprised because when I find books, I find them at good deals, and I'm able to put it out there. I try to bring that deal back to the community, so that way they get the deal too, right? And I've been called out that there's a couple books that have been in my $2 bin that have been $10 to $20 in resale value.
Mm-hmm.
Great, good for you that you found that book because you found the gem. You dug, so you got rewarded for digging. Because if you thought it was that book and you were able to get that money for it, great. But for me, it was if I could get that book out the door and you got it, that works just fine.
I have a question for you, Dan. Myself, I've sold a couple books on Instagram, and I've been trying to sell some on eBay. Do you ever see yourself selling any of your books, Dan?
Not anytime soon, given that I don't have anywhere near the experience as someone like Nando. And again, these are very long. I'm buying all long term. No thought of selling. Maybe, in my very senior years, 20 years down the road, I'll think about it. Best case scenario, my kids inherit it after I pass. So
yeah, I have so many books. I mean, I have like over 100 boxes easily of comic books. I look at every now and then I put some on Instagram, and if they don't sell there, I try putting some on eBay and other sites too. But Nando, I was gonna show this one, this short box. Talk a little bit about that, where you sell books there besides going to different events.
So like Shortbox is if you're unfamiliar with Shortbox, the app, it's a application for selling graded books, and now you can actually do raw books on there as well too. It's a good platform that has a really big following behind it, and it's becoming more and more of a trusted following. So it's growing and growing and growing. They spotlit me as one of their powerhouse sellers, I guess, when I was doing it earlier. But as the slab market is slowing down and the raw market is definitely peeping up more, you're definitely starting to see more raw books on Shortbox coming up too. But Shortbox is actually going to start to use a live auction concept coming up pretty soon.
Oh, wow.
It's in beta testing right now, so that's going to be happening pretty soon too. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice. And let's get on to the next slide, show and tell. This is another new segment. Oh, let's look at the comments before we go any further here. And let's see, we got one from Spine Ticks. I dumped most of my modern, but will always hold my silver, bronze, and copper. Yeah. I've actually been selling some of my silver, bronze, and copper. Myself, personally, it has something to do because, like I said, I have so many books. And 10 years ago, selling a book was like out of the question because it would leave my I wouldn't have it anymore. It was like a loss, But now, as I've been getting older, I've just been selling some more of my books, and I'm trying not to use that money because I want to get the rest of my so-called grails. So we'll see how it goes. And let me see here. So, show and tell is a new segment where I ask these guys if they have anything new that they've bought recently or something they just want to show about them. Who wants to go first?
I have one, so I'll just show the one I got here. I mean, I have several, but there's only one. It literally just came in within the last few hours, and it's this one here. Being a huge Hulk fan, and Sith and I go back and forth between my definition of Silver Age, which I still say ended at the 20-cent era, the Bronze Age began 25-cent era. So I'm considering this a Silver Age book. Hulk 168, got it in 8.0 white pages. First appearance of the Harpy. This is Herb Trimp, and I love the Herb Trimp run for the Hulk. Underappreciated artist, but he had a great series. Of course, he created Wolverine, and I always look for the white pages if I can find one. So
Nice.
It presents really well, really pretty. This is going to be in my collection for a long time.
And where did you get it from?
That's an eBay purchase.
eBay purchase. Cool.
And they're getting very reasonable. So deals are to be had, guys. If you look, it doesn't take that much to look and find these deals these days compared to what they were a couple of years ago.
Yeah, nice.
Sure.
Anything else?
That's it for today.
Nando, you have anything?
I got a couple. I'll actually, since we're gonna talk about eBay finds, I'll shout out my buddy Make Havoc. He is the king, the 9/8 king. He finds 9/8s on eBay like nobody's business. So there's your love, Make Havoc. There it is. So I have a couple that I got recently. The first one that I'll talk about is Sewer Boys. It's actually a Kickstarter book that was helped developed by the Long Beach Ink and Draw. So it's basically a bunch of local artists that were able to kind of help put together and retell some famous, shelled superheroes from underneath the sewers. So this book was a Kickstarter book. It finally came home recently, and I really love it. It's a really awesome bound book. It's amazing art, and if I actually have them at my booth when I sell, so if you are interested in helping to support local artists, you can come and find one of these from me. But we'll go slab-wise. I'll go Sig Series first. This came in recently.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
X-Men 141-96, signed by Chris Claremont.
Wow.
So this is a pretty book that I have right now that is definitely up for sale when I'm out. So this is a good one. We also got an Avengers Annual 10 and a 9/8.
Yeah.
So a 9/8. It's a pretty one. Super nice. And then, since I knew I was going to be on today with Mr. Hulk fan himself, I wanted to show off the Hulk number 4
Ooh,
that we
nice.
just got. Even though it's a 1/5, it's still a number 4. So anytime you can get the first 5 issues
Yeah.
at all is always a big deal.
Or 6
So this
issues,
is-
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, the first 6 issues. So this is the origin retold. So and obviously having any time you get a Ayers, Kirby, and Stan Lee all together, it's worth getting. So
Oh, yeah. That's great.
that's it.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. Let's look at some of the comments here.
It's for sale.
Yep. Yeah, it's a beautiful book.
Yeah, hold on. You're missing it. Who pulled that back up again? That's Sith being Sith. Bronze Age, he says. It's a Silver Age. You already see, we go back and forth all the time. All the time. That's why I love this guy. He never gives up.
And we have one here from Dagger Cards. Dan has his own system. Nice.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And it's a good system. And then Dave, of course, is defending Sith. They team up on me. It's unfair. It's totally unfair.
So we got another message here from Spinetix. I just go by what CGC says that Dave collects. Yeah.
Sure you do.
We have another message here from Nowhere Bound. Thanks for showing up. Hello, nice. Hulk. Yeah, it is a nice Hulk. And last one is Yo-Yo at Nowhere Bound. Cool. All right, we're all cut up with messages. This is so much easier when I don't have a lot of messages. I can do it all the time, man. So let's bring back mine. So let me get mine here. I got this is basically an AOK. I mentioned him before, Triple G Comics. He knows I've always wanted some books from the UK, so he sent me these, and these came in about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. These are all from the UK.
Are those oversized?
Yeah, this is an oversized book. It says Fantastic 64-page first issue.
Okay.
Wow.
It's got
Never seen that.
I mean, neither. He's just sent it to me, because he knows I've always wanted a couple books from the UK. And he sent me this one from this is Invaders number 8. If you notice the price, it says 10 piece. I believe that's 10 pence.
10 pence, yeah. Wow.
Pence variant. Nice.
And he sent me this other Punisher book. You can compare them. This is this one and the size,
Right. Oh, yeah. The only problem with those, I have like 1 or 2. Finding a bag that's appropriate to fit, they don't make them.
Here's the back of the cover. And what else did he send me? He sent me this. This is the Mighty World of Marvel. He sent me this too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Is that like a pulp or is that
Yeah,
is that a magazine type?
I mean, look at it's all in green,
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen not that one. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So when I was a kid, when I used to get comic books, sometimes I used to tear pages off the comic books, like when they had the pinups, just put them on my wall. It was I just really liked doing that as a kid. I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking about selling these books, but I just do that all the time. So you guys ready after show and tell? Dan talks comics. You ready for your segment, Dan?
I'm ready, sir. Hope you guys are ready. This is an open discussion.
Yeah, here comes the first slide. You're up.
Okay, we got to talk about. Well, we don't have to, but we should talk about this Marvel's movie that just came out here. Now, at the top is the sort of like you would see at the old, the poster of the outside of the theater.
Yeah.
Them with anticipation, they're ready to go with their movie. To the bottom should be what the poster is. All three of them looking to see, where their customers are coming to see the movie because the seats are empty.
Yeah.
And a number of people, because Ephraim, you and I watch, and Andrew, you probably do too. We watch a lot of YouTube shows, comic book related. A few people did some good pieces on this. Swaggelhaus did one. He did drop one today, and David from Comic Book Investments did a nice one yesterday. Really, really good profile on the movie here. And I'm not going to, rehash what he did. Shout out to David from Comic Book Investments. That's his. I took a screenshot of his homepage on YouTube, and to the center left is the episode you want to watch. He says, "How to destroy a film franchise in 4 easy steps." He did it very comedically, but he was spot on with his points. So again, check that out. And I simply wanted to add to what he was saying here because one, he's certainly onto something. But what I wanted to sort of it sort of dovetailed into a number of different things regarding the problem with the MCU and comics in general. What's going on here is that, as David pointed out, when they put this Marvel's movie together, they added a number of writers and people who had never worked on Marvel comics, never read comics, never did a comic movie on any level whatsoever. And these were the people that were in charge of that particular movie. So he's saying, no wonder it bombed, because these people didn't have the experience. But there's another element that struck me, and that it just, I don't think there's any way to escape this conclusion that the MCU sort of is going in this, and David mentioned it again, social justice warriors. They have this kind of a left-wing political slant that they wanted to sort of project in this particular movie. And as an expert in politics, I know way more about politics than I do anything else. And it's got to be so bad for me. I got away from it and I got into the comic world. This is about 3 years ago. That's why I started, making the appearance on all these shows because again, I needed to escape like everyone else, which is why I do these shows, because we all need entertainment. We just do. It's extremely healthy to have an escape for how bad things are right now. Unfortunately, politics is following us in this comic world because this was one example of the people wanted to make a political statement more than a great movie. Now, I will never, ever, I will protect anyone's First Amendment right. You can say or write anything you want. That is completely fine. But in the free and open market, I don't have to buy it. If I don't like it, I won't buy it. Because again, this is the first movie I'm openly saying I'm not going to see because it's not a good movie. Now, Ephraim, you and I are old enough to remember the Silver, Bronze, and Copper Age. Those were the most magical years ever. We had loved them so much. We're still here to this day, even at our age. We still enjoy them, and so do hundreds or thousands of people who watch these shows. And I was a loyal Marvel reader, and I'd buy comics religiously every single week without fail. That ended at the end of the Copper Age, which is, I guess, sort of like in the mid to late 90s, which is when it all came to an end. The comics were getting way more expensive. The stories were nowhere near as good as they were in those three, golden eras. And I lost interest. And I remember the time of thinking, you know what? I'm giving this up. It's not me anymore. Again, I'm paying a lot more money for this. I'm not entertained. I don't feel the magic or the desire to follow through with the new direction of the new writers and artists and so forth. The approach was completely different, and I stopped. And I do remember feeling withdrawals. So like if you're giving up, smoking or drinking or whatever, there is a withdrawal element to it. And I remember that withdrawal. I wanted to go to my LCS because that's what I normally did, and I had to stop myself because I had to stick to my guns because it was more of a labor than anything else. And I lost the love and affection for it. I mention all that because I'm feeling the same exact thing with the movies. Most of the movies have been pretty good. There's been a few I've been very disappointed. I'm talking about ever since the MCU started with Iron Man 1. Iron Man 3 is a great example. It's a horrid movie. I saw it once. I'll never see it again. And there's been some disappointments along the way, but for the most part, I've been entertained. This one is so bad, it is so far out there. I'm making the decision. I will feel like I'm not missing anything by not seeing this. Now you contrast this with the Loki show that we just finished. Loki season 2 was just as good as Loki season 1. It had a combination of great actors, great writers, out of the box thinking, and it was beautifully well presented. It really, really was. And this comes in afterwards. What a huge letdown. So, again, if the MCU, well, I'll talk about this because I'm doing a Dan's Comic Corner this weekend.
Oh,
and I'll
nice.
get into this in more detail. In fact, Ephraim, you were on with Ian, was it a week ago? You guys talked about that article that you guys, that I'll be getting into more depth regarding that sort of thing, because if the MCU doesn't get that, they are going to go to the wayside. You have to have content that grabs people's attention. You just do. And this also sort of goes to my suspicions with DC, with David Zaslav, who he's never had any comic book experience whatsoever. He finds himself in charge of the DC universe. Now, yes, he's got James Gunn, who's got some success, but that doesn't mean he can make successful movies or partly run a successful franchise. It's one thing to be an actor, or director, or a player on the field, but if you have to manage that particular team, sometimes it doesn't work out so well. So that's still very much in doubt. But Zaslav, I think Zaslav is no better than these people that put this movie together, the Marvels movie. They've never done it before, and it showed. They were literally, who knows what was in their head, but it had nothing to do with the comic world. So I hope this is a trend that ends real soon. I don't think so. It seems like there's more of a progressive attitude from Marvel at this point, from Disney, and they're wondering why they're losing sales. And I'll end on this. The other entity that's been losing sales is DC Comics. We were just talking about Batman. If Batman was not there selling comics because he's a popular character and the stories are decent for the most part, from what I understand, that franchise would go down because they've clearly gone in a political direction. And again, they can say whatever they want. They can write whatever they want. That's completely fine, but I don't have to buy it. And what's happening is most people are not buying their comics because their focus... I always bought comics for one reason: the superhero content, the stories, the people. Stan Lee did it better than anybody else. He would come up with a character. He'd bring a human element to this character. He would be very creative and realistic about their powers, how they would use them, how it would affect their lives, and so forth. Their personal lives were kind of secondary, still important, but that wasn't the main character. What DC is doing, from my understanding, is putting their personal lives front and center. The superhero life is sort of like off to the side. That's not why I buy comics. That's not why most people buy comics. So that's my take on this so far. Now I open it up to you guys because you two have experience. Have you seen the movie? And if so, what's your take on it?
Before we go any further, Comic Book Investments, the video on the left, How to Destroy a Film Franchise in 4 Easy Steps. That's a terrible picture of that actress. I'm sorry, man. Man.
She's actually the one I like in the movie. I mean, I saw the what's the name?
I was like, Jesus, who'd want to? I've seen this movie twice. Me and my daughter, we always have made it a tradition to go see a Marvel movie, no matter what.
Okay.
I thought it was a good movie. I mean, was it the best? No, it kept my attention, and I went to go see it the next day because my cousin was in town and he wanted to go see it. So. Sure, I don't think it's ever going to be as good as the original Marvel movies that first came out, but I mean, it was passable, and I watched it, and I'm glad I went to go see it. You know, I think their problem is that they're losing the outside audience. By outside, I mean not the true comic book collectors who really want to see these movies, but just the people who, in general, like Marvel movies. I think they've lost their way.
Nando, did you see it?
Not yet. Not yet. We just timing hasn't been right to go see it. I mean, it's not that I don't want to go see it yet. It's just, we're trying to plan out right timing because obviously with the kids, we have to figure out when we can go. But I watched Miss Marvel on Disney Plus, right? And the actress who plays Kamala Khan, she did a great job, and I really liked how she portrayed the character. that Disney Plus show reminded me of the old ABC block on Friday nights, the TGIF block.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it reminded me of, like that kind of sitcom-y feel of everything, like the feel good vibes of everything. I agree with you, Dan, about like bringing the politics into it. I think that's something that's unavoidable in today's world, no matter what direction we go with anything. But I will say that there are some stories that don't necessarily focus on the real life of the character. It was a good balance. I always go back to this one because it was probably one of my favorite reads in the past year. But DC did the Dark Knights of Steel, where it was like
I've read that.
the Camelot story of basically the DC universe. And while it was part of their lives that you were learning about, there was very much superhero powers and superhero battling involved, right? Like there was a very big warfare concept involved in all of it. So I think it just depends on the story. I think an example of a DC story that uses some of the real life concept while still using the superhero adage of everything. Sean Murphy's White Knight storylines. He definitely plays on like the life of Bruce Wayne and going deeper into Harley Quinn and how Bruce impacted everybody to the point where they all are mad at him, but at the end of it, he's still Batman, and they all go back to Batman. So it's like, it all has that almost that circle of life concept. But you have to find the right story that still fits you. I think that's a good message to put out to everybody who's reading nowadays. You have to find the story that gets you. Yeah, you can't just read everything out there because not everything's going to stick for you, right? It's like the whole concept when you buy a graded book, you buy the book, not the grade. You buy the book because you want the book, not because you want the 9.8 presented. Right. So you have to find the story that fits you best. And I think that's the big challenge right now is finding stories that fit you. And I think that's why the indie market right now has more attention and more grasp, because a lot of those stories are really good stories.
Yeah.
Well, people have criticized me before saying that, Stan Lee, they talked issues of the day and he did. So did Gene Roddenberry, because they were both doing the same thing in the same decade in the 60s. But there were two things. Both those men did those far more subtly. They still got their message across, but that was 50, 60 years ago. And it was a different society. Today, we've never been more split as a society. It is completely polarized 100%, and it's getting worse. This is the last thing you should be doing regarding entertainment. You want to be entertained. You just want to see whether it's comic book superheroes, or sports. Sports has also gotten politicized, which is why some people don't watch the NFL or basketball, because that's gotten sort of it's taken one side. I don't want to care about your politics. I want to see the game if I'm going to watch a game. That's a huge mistake on their part. But I've always bought because of story content. I have a true deep love for comics. We all do, or else we wouldn't be here. I don't want to see the MCU go to the wayside. I don't want to see the DCU go to the wayside. I want to see, they have such great content and such great heroes and characters. They just don't have a team to put it together right now. So again, this is a fair warning to Marvel that don't think that you're invincible. You've had 10, 15 years of great content at this point. Don't think you can just sort of like now do and say whatever you want. And this Marvel's movie, I hopefully is a red flag for you guys. Whether they get the message, I don't know. But this kind of reminded me of, and again, not seeing the movie, I did see the She-Hulk series on Disney Plus. I don't like chick flicks, and it was a chick flick show. I watched the whole thing and I was entertained. I won't watch it again. There's no reason to. It tried to appeal to the feminine side and all that, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're focusing everything on an opinion that people don't really want to care about, again, you're running a huge risk in this open market. So we'll see where they go moving forward. But this was a huge. Again, I'm not going to see it, but from everything I've heard, it would be a huge letdown from what we just saw with Loki.
So if I can jump in really quick, Efren, there was an analogy that I heard recently about the MCU. The MCU is like the WWF. When we started with the MCU and we started with Iron Man, we started with Captain America, that was the Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Andre the Giant era, right? It was the golden age and era. And in anything in wrestling, it went up and then all of a sudden it went down. And then WCW in the late 90s created this version of wrestling that was so driven and so hot, it pushed the WWF to do better, right? And then all of a sudden we got Stone Cold Steve Austin, we got The Rock, which got everybody's attention back in. Well, I think what's lacking in the industry right now is the competition. There is no competition right now, right? DC's production is not where it needs to be to help drive a thriving concept, right? You know, we only do better when we're in competition with something. You know, if you own the monopoly of the market and you have nothing else coming out that's going to challenge you, no one's gonna bat an eye at it, and then eventually you run out of it because you're like, I can put out whatever and everyone's gonna watch it. Well, I think we're in that stage right now where, you know, the dip is where there's no competition, but right now why I think Batman's books are doing so much better right now is because there's a peak interest in DC going up, even if it's subtle and slight right now. DC's got a positive momentum going in right now because they're believing in James Gunn. They're rolling the dice on it right now. Yeah. And if he comes out and the first three things that they do are phenomenal, I think you're going to see Marvel and Disney have to reset everything and be like, oh, okay, we have to redo this. We need to be better, because if not, we're going to start to fall behind. And that's what happened when WCW actually got a little bit better than WWF for a little bit. And then WWF was like, no, we got to redo this. And that's what's happening. So I think, do I think the Mouse and Vince McMahon are the same right now? Potentially, but you know, I think that's what we're looking at in its growth and development. I think that it needs it. I think for there to be a really solid market in superhero films, I think we need DC to do better. And I think obviously, potentially, hopefully, when we get that Spawn movie, hopefully that does something with it too, because you know, it's not just the big two. There are other stories out there that can help push.
I think this is a great point. That's a great point, Nando.
Competition is good. When one does better, the other company wants to up it up, or bring it up another notch. Let's look at the comments before we go any further. We have Spinetech says he's looking forward to the Marvels, but in the comfort of his own home when it's streaming. I think a lot of people are going to be doing that. Dan is one of them. And I would say at home too, Sith, you shouldn't wear those black socks out in public. So. And he says, black socks are where it's at. Shorts. Yeah, but that, like, shorts are no. So, yeah. And we have another from Spytix. You got to visit SoCal Dagger. Bring your black socks. And
that's great.
Sounds good. LOL, but I will not jack them up or roll them down. What you mentioned, Dan, Loki was pretty incredible. Yeah, it was a good series.
I actually finished Loki 2 days ago, and Loki, the finale was really good.
And Loki was amazing. And then we have another comment by Spinetix. I stopped buying comic books that lecture me instead of let me escape into another world. Exactly.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. And only thing worth getting. Another from Spinetix, Dave, we enjoyed Ms. Marvel. That series turned around. Yeah, I agree. When I started watching Ms. Marvel, the first 2 episodes, I went, this is just okay. But towards the end, it really picked up. I really enjoyed that series at the end.
I enjoyed the Ms. Marvel series.
Oh, so it looks like Dave is going to go to the Marvel movie this weekend.
Okay. Right.
Hopefully it'll go good for you. And then it says Dave's going to be a grandfather at 37. Let me see what else we got here. Actually, he said he's turning 40 this year. So.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right.
Says you're just a young. Yeah.
Dave's a good guy. Very smart man, by the way. Dave Collect. Shout out Dave Collects. He's just a great great person to be with.
And we got one more comment from Ian. Loki saved the MCU for a week, and then Marvel's killed it.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Dan, you ready for your next slide?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're up.
Well, given the if this downturn continues with this movie, these are great Silver Age keys to pick up. I picked up the one to the left, the very first appearance of Captain Marvel. Did pay that much for it at the LCS over in Petaluma. And I've never owned the other one, Captain Marvel #1, but that's, of course, Marvel, the very first appearance of them. So just, again, deals are to be had. You just got to look, be persistent. People are still asking for the 2001, what are we trying to say here? 2021 prices. They're not accepting, the very discounted prices. Just look for your deal. Everything I bought is on a budget because I've never been a person with a lot of money, but I've put together a good collection because I'm patient save my money. And when the opportunity presents itself, you grab one. Like I grabbed this one here. So keep a sharp eye on these guys. And then let's go to the other ones, Ephraim. I got that one also at my LCS, the one to the left, the Captain Marvel 29. That's just a classic cover. That's the first appearance of I forget who that was. Not it's sort of a minor character, but look, that's the Captain Marvel that I remember. More of the Bronze Age, the one piece suit kind of thing. That was always cool, and that's what I liked. And then they started doing more. There was a shift in the late 70s, early 80s, where they started having female characters, black characters. This Miss Marvel #1, I remember when that came out. That actually wasn't a bad story as she battles the Scorpion. And I also remember Iron Man 170 when James Rhodes took over the Iron Man role. And again, that was Marvel's way to sort of modernize society at the time. It wasn't everyone was white, and it was all male dominated. No, they wanted to diversify, and it worked because they did it very subtly and very tastefully. And of course, the women were still, perfect bodies and perfect, skin tight costumes, busty as anything, and all that. So, but anyway, those are also inexpensive reads because again, now that the Marvel's hype is going to the wayside, you can get these for a very reasonable price. Yeah. And the last slide we had here, I just saw this. I don't know if that's an actual comic or someone just did a little fun little photoshopping or something. But that's the Captain Marvel that we all know from the originally Fawcett comics back in the day before DC. In my personal opinion, they stole that franchise because Captain Marvel stories. I'm beginning to collect them, by the way. The old ones from the Golden Age. They're actually better stories than the Golden Age Superman shows, and that's why again, good stories where it's at. Stan Lee proved that when he started the Silver Age with Marvel, his stories were so good. He did what was thought impossible at the time. He beat out DC sales because he had better stories, better characters, and better art all the way around. And same can be said of the Captain Marvel Shazam character from Fawcett. Those stories are way better than Superman, which is why most people don't realize he was outselling Superman, or that character was outselling Superman by a significant margin. And now I'm beginning to understand why now that I'm collecting those comics.
Before we go on to the next slide, throughout the videos I've been showing Dan's and Nando's information, so it's also in the description of this video. You can copy and paste it and go check out Nando's Sharp Box. I went on there, Nando. I had to go away. So like, damn it, I want some of these books, So you got awesome collection on that side. So, and one more thing about Sharp Box is it's just an app right now, correct? It can't go on the website, or is it just the
correct?
App?
It's just an app. Yeah, it's just an app.
Yeah, cool. And okay, now showing. So this is the movie and TV section. And usually, not usually, but I'm going to be showing you some of the top-rated shows and how much money some of these movies made this last weekend. First up is most watched streaming shows. These are the 5 top streaming shows I picked them up from a website. Number 5, I've never seen any of these. So official trailer. This is The Fall of the House of Usher. I've been hearing good things about this one, but I haven't seen it yet. It's on Netflix. It's a horror opus for the spooky season, taking Edgar Allan Poe's classic and updating it with a Succession-like modernity. I'm pronouncing that right?
Yes.
It's brought to you by Mike Flanagan, the showrunner of The Haunting. That movie, The Haunting, on Netflix scared the crap out of me, man. I seen the first season. I said, I am not watching this again. I forget it. And number 4 is Five Nights at Freddy's. It's also, I believe, a horror based. It's on Peacock Premium. The video game phenomenon is now a movie hit, brought on the big screen and streaming on Peacock. And number 3 is Lessons in Chemistry on Apple TV. I haven't seen it. And The Haunting in Venice on Hulu. And you guys ready for number 1?
Sure.
I've never seen this either. It says All the Light We Cannot See. It's on Netflix. Netflix returns Anthony Doerr's Pulitzer Prize-winning book into a series that charts the past of a blind French girl and a German soldier in the final days of World War II. This is the first time the top 5 I haven't seen any of these movies or TV shows. You guys
crazy? Nope. My
Mm.
wife, I think she started the House of Usher, and I think she wanted to get into it or something like that, but that was it.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them. I don't think I ever will. So
No,
looking,
I'm with
Yeah.
you. I just, I don't know. I've reverted back to my childhood. All I do are read comics, play video games, mostly
Yeah.
Halo, so I can teabag. And stuff on YouTube for comic related stuff. I have no desire to watch these ever.
yeah,
So
so I haven't watched any of them. Okay, on to the movies. These are the top 10 movies for this last weekend, 1 through 10. First one is The Marvels, a weekend gross of 46 million, which is not good for the first weekend of a movie, obviously. And here we go with Five Nights at Freddy's. Any of you guys seen the Taylor Swift, the Eras Tours? Be honest, okay?
no, I'm pissed off at her because of the stupid rumor. I wanted X-Men 130, which would cost me an extra $100. I'll wait till the thing dies down so I can finally pick it up.
And number 4 is Priscilla Presley. And number 5 is Killers of the Flower Moon. And number 6 is The Holdovers. Journey to Bethlehem, Tiger 3. Man, I've only seen one of these movies, and it was the first one, Marvel's. The Radical and Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie. So looks like the box office hasn't been that good recently.
Look. I mean, we know how low of the Marvels is regarding its weekend. Look at how low the sales are from number 2 all the way to 10.
Yeah,
I mean, only a couple million. This is, I mean, in the defense of the Marvels movie, after the pandemic, it really has scared people away from going to the theater. It's the movie price of our attendance is way down. I think it's going to be that way for some time.
yeah. I mean, people are just not going to the movies as much as they used to, So
Did they compare the prices yet, or the first weekend yet to like something like Blue Beetle? Because I want to see like how did Blue Beetle do in comparison? Because if Blue Beetle beat out Marvels, that's a good sign.
That's a great
That's
question.
a big seller. Yeah, because like here's the next thing too. Because I mean, I think Aquaman 2 comes out in December, so we're gonna see whether this has just been heroes fatigue, or is it just that the Marvels were not a good movie in comparison?
I'm looking up right now what they made the weekend of Blue Beetle, so bear with me for a minute.
I'm also wanting to follow up on that. Loki was incredibly successful. Lots of people gave it high praise. I don't know how you would gauge. You couldn't do it by monetary means, but you might be able to gauge by how many people watched it, versus people who watched, the Marvels to this point. So
I looked it up really quick. It says domestically, the film Blue Beetle took in 25.4 million over the 3-day weekend.
ooh,
So Marvels beat it.
Yeah, Marvels beat it. Yeah,
yeah.
and I like Blue
So I
Beetle.
think I did too. Blue Beetle was fun, I think. So I think the real question will be the Marvels was one type of film, but Aquaman had a following behind it when it first came out. So let's see how does Aquaman do this time when it's released.
So we'll see. Yeah. Let me see what else is here. Okay, this is just news that I picked up on the last week or so. Stephen King reacts to the Marvel's box office failure and negative reaction. He's basically saying he doesn't go to these MCU movies and he doesn't care for them. He says, but I find this barely mass gloating over the low box office for the Marvels very unpleasant. Why gloat over failure? I kind of agree with him.
Agreed. Yeah, exactly.
I will disagree with that because again, the MCU has set the standard for high quality, and as I pointed out in my little segment, they've taken a different road and diminished the quality, which is why I'm not going. They have the ability to do this. It's like you and I are sports guys. We know when a player is at a slump.
Yeah.
But we know when that person can deliver. And not every time you're not going to get a base hit or a home run every time, but still the batting average is way high for the high caliber player because they practice their game, they work on their game. The MCU knows what to do. They just need to do it.
I just think some people were just happy that the movie did bad. Like they were, like he said, they were just gloating over the low box office. So.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you with both of you guys on this, and I'll say why. I agree that it's bad that people are gloating in a positive way to knock down somebody's like failure, but I agree that just because you can doesn't mean you should, because their way that Marvel is acting right now is that they can put any POS that they want to and make it work, and it doesn't, and I think the fans, especially comic book fans, they're super educated. They know their characters, they know their heroes, and you can't just keep putting out crap and expect them to accept it.
Let me put it in this context. And again, it's the sports analogy. I was a Chicago Cubs fan, still am. For the longest time, people were just hoping they would win, and you had to actually look to see why they were losing for decades upon decades. It was the front office, the people making stupid decisions, buying old, broken down has-been players, and of course they would lose because the players on the team simply didn't have it. Well, along comes 2014-15, where they rebuilt and restructured everything, and they put a winning team together. Looking at the way they put this movie together, again, with writers who had never written for a comic book franchise before, it was destined to failure. I wasn't hoping it would fail, but it is failing. And it's failing because of things that were absolutely predictable.
Let's take a look at a couple of the comments before we go on to the next slide. The numbers of people who downloaded Disney Plus just to watch Loki and WandaVision were mind-boggling when I looked into it. Wow. Never thought about it. Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Spine Takes has had it with Stephen King. He says his political rantings have turned me off. I loved his books in my youth. Yeah, I used to love reading his books, but he seems angry and loud now.
Yeah. Get off my lawn.
Exactly. I was just going to say, he's telling everybody to get off my lawn.
MCU has done no wrong. Everything they put out has been top-notch with the exception of Secret Invasion ending.
Oh, yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion had so much potential.
Yes, it did. It did.
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
I love the espionage concept stuff, and
I did too.
I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good, and then I was like, I gutted myself through the entire series just to watch it, and I was like, and then I'm like, I'm a DC guy, and I'm gonna watch this because I'm trying to be more balanced, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this, and then I get back at it, and I'm at the end of it, and I'm like, I'm gonna put on Batman the Animated Series now, like, I'm just gonna cleanse my palate.
Yeah.
Next slide says Taiki Waititi not involved with Thor 5. I don't even know if I want to see another Thor 5, to be honest with you. But he says Marvel can hire another director. And then,
well, he was the reason why that Thor movie just wasn't what it was supposed to be. He didn't understand the character.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I want to see another Thor movie, to be honest with you. And then Masters of the Universe live action movie canceled at Netflix. Could move to Amazon, so fingers crossed. So
I would argue that the Thor trilogy, in comparison to like Iron Man, Captain America, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Avengers, Thor is the least valued out of all of it.
Yeah,
except for the first movie. The first movie was excellent, and then it quickly went downhill from there.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you were to clump them together per the trilogies, because each one of them had a trilogy except they had before, I would say the Thor trilogy, is the least valued out of all the rest of them.
I agree.
And next up, I've been hearing this off and on for years, but I just decided to put up here. Seinfeld reunion. Jerry Seinfeld says something is going to happen related to sitcoms divisive finale. I've been hearing this off and on for years, but this is a recent quote from him, and we'll see. It's been 25 years. Damn.
That is further confirmation that Hollywood is completely fresh out of ideas.
Yeah. So, but this one, I read this today and I posted it. It says new Daredevil directors break silence after Marvel's big shakeup and give candid update on MCU show. It looks like they're starting all over again with this series, and hopefully they'll get it right. So obviously they had to stop what's going on with it. So it was bad enough that they didn't want to continue with it. So hopefully. It will be more like the Netflix series that, for Daredevil. I'm keeping my fingers
good.
Crossed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's look at some of the comments here before we go on to the next slide. It says, I'm in a minority, but I thought the Thor movies were super fun. Right on. That's why we go to the movies, man. Everybody has their own opinions. As long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters.
100%.
They were fun, but they could have been better. They could have been a lot better.
Let me see. We have one here from Dave's Collects. Yeah, same here. Love and Thunder. Oh my God. I love the one. That was a good one. I really enjoyed that one. Here, got Spine Ticks. Yeah, hell yeah, Seinfeld, best show ever. Your Dagger cards. Everybody gets angrier and louder as they get older. They release their inner Archie Bunker.
Hey, I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
And let me see the show about nothing. And then we got one more comment from Dave Collects. Everyone wants to be a critic, and haters get more views than lovers. That's for sure.
True.
And next slide. DC movie Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, finds its writer Ann Nugera. Looks like it's going forward. This is going to be one of the James Gunn and Peter Safran led DC studios. Fingers crossed. And Young Sheldon to end season 7 on CBS. So it's going to end this upcoming year, May 16th, with an hour-long show. Any of you guys watch Young Sheldon at all?
I did. I started it. It started slow because
Yeah.
we love the Big Bang Theory. That's mandatory in this household. So when the first season started, it was interesting, and it grew on us very, very quickly. Speaking of growing, look at that actor who is Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
He's growing so quickly. He's going to be the size of the actual Sheldon Cooper. I forget the actor's name,
Yeah.
but man, they are growing quickly. They're not kids anymore.
No, they're not for sure. Next slide says Wednesday. There's a Netflix show moving production to Ireland as season 2 eyes spring start. And I've been hearing this off and on with other things. Avengers 6, well, it's going to be a soft reboot, the MCU, and bring back retired characters. Kevin Feige quote back rumors. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but if they're not making movies as popular as they were, I think they're going to have to do this, to bring back some of the audience and maybe segue that to the X-Men movies, so carry it on from there. We'll see what happens.
I was under the assumption because all the actors are getting older. Because think about it, Hugh Jackman was Wolverine in the year 2000 with the first X-Men movie. That's 23 years ago, and he's still at it. We're looking forward to his return in
Deadpool.
the Deadpool movie. I'm thinking probably what is it? Not Endgame. After Kang Downey's the Secret Wars. The Avengers Secret Wars will be the grand finale of all the MCU to this point. There'll be cameo after cameo after cameo, and then it all starts over. Because they're going to have to start over at some point, because again, they're all getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next slides. These are ones that the first one, What If, this was announced today, and I was all right. I love the What If season 1. Season 2 is coming up. It says original series streaming December 22nd. I heard it's going to be 9 episodes long, but it's going to be one a day. They're just going to go through all of them in basically a week. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. To me, I think they should have waited in between one a week to build up the momentum of them. And it's only 9 episodes. I was hoping it would be more than that.
Well, back in the comics, the What If series some were really, really great. Some were like, I'm sorry I bought this book because the story wasn't that great. So I felt the same with the first series. It was, hit or miss.
I wonder if they're going to have the underlying Ultron story continue.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. I wonder if they'll connect the seasons that way.
And also announced today, this is Sony Pictures. I thought it looked pretty good. I've seen it was on Instagram. It says Madam Web's coming next year from Sony Pictures, and from what they showed of the preview, it did grab my interest. It looked interesting, So hopefully, we know the track record for Sony Pictures.
Yeah, that was when you mentioned Sony, I thought, oh no, not Sony.
It looked good. And I also brought up Echo, all episodes streaming January 10th. I wasn't too sure about this series when it was going to come out, but I seen the preview of it, and when they showed Kingpin, if you haven't seen the preview, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Beats the crap out of this ice cream salesman or something, and that reminded me of the Netflix series. I mean, they showed him his fist was all bloodied up, and his white coat was all full of blood. I went, oh boy, that did grab my attention. So it hopefully fingers crossed on Echo. It looked good, like I said.
Yeah.
The preview of it.
Yeah, I think when you get, I think with Echo, I think Echo is supposed to be the transition to show that more the Disney Plus movie shows are going to go a little darker and edgier.
Yeah, that's what I thought so too. Before we go on to the next slide, let's see some of the comments here. Let me see. Dave, I think I showed this one. He says, Dagger says, Dave, definitely Dave, negativity sells. Just look at the news. Yeah, that's true. So, Spine Tip, LOL. Spinetix would be at 20K instead of 11K if I announced giveaways on Instagram and if our content was drama or rants. Maybe next week on Saturday on Spinetix, you guys should just yell at each other. See how many more viewers you get.
Well, no, see, Sith has got this thing. If we get out of hand, he blesses a blowhorn to like we have to put a pause. We all go to each other's corner, that kind of thing. So that won't happen.
Let me see. We have Spinetix. This Wednesday was fun. Yeah, it was a great series. I really enjoyed it. Let me see. We got another comment from Dagger Cars. Keep it on the download. Got to keep my streak alive. We got one from Dave Collects. Or if we put the backstage shit on live and called out people for real, Sith, we would be at 100K already. We announced giveaways. Let me see here. He says down low.
Yeah.
We got another one from Spinetix. Laughing my ass off at Dave Comics. Yeah. And oh my God, can't wait for season 2 of What If. Me too. I just looking at that quick preview today, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait for this. I may keep my Disney Plus account for a month more, so I've been thinking of getting rid of it. And one more from Dave Collects. Echo I look forward to as well as Madam Web. Yeah, fingers crossed on all these shows, hopefully they'll do it right. And like I said, the news just kept on popping up today, and I put these two on there. These are the last two ones that I've seen. It says Avengers 5 loses director amid reports Marvel is moving away from Kang. Shang-Chi director Destin Daniel Cretton steps down from helming Avengers the Kang Dynasty. He continues to work on Wonder Man and Shang-Chi #2 while being in talks with Marvel Studios for future movies. And the last news that I've seen today was Fantastic Four reportedly cast Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. What do you guys think about this?
Oh, that's interesting that you got the one that says that they reportedly cast Pedro. I read one that said that they had offered Pedro the role.
So we'll see if he shows. We'll see if he's on it. I mean, he's such a busy character. Busy actor.
I like the Fantastic Four character from the Doctor Strange movie. I thought they should have kept him. I think he would have won me over as far as the Reed Richards I would have expected from back in the day. And again, they can't screw this up. The Fantastic Four is a what's the not a milestone?
It's a pillar.
Keystone. It's a pillar. Thank you. Absolute pillar. And if they screw this up, wow, that's gonna be a huge downfall. But back to the Avengers thing with the Shang-Chi director, what's his name, Creighton.
Yeah.
Look, I just based on the style that he did with Shang-Chi, it was okay. I suppose it worked. For what it is, but that would not work for an Avengers movie. So I'm happy he's stepping away and doing something he may be more comfortable with. Again, Avengers is just like the Fantastic Four. You can't screw these up. You have to maintain high quality or else people will stop watching it.
Yeah. We'll see, who they pick as Mr. Fantastic, but like you're saying, they can't mess it up. Whoever they choose, it better be the right actor. No pressure. So okay, I think I already showed this, and I thought this was interesting. I mean, it's going the way of albums, cassettes, and Best Buy will stop selling Blu-rays, DVDs in 2024. The way we watch movies and TV shows is much different today. That's for sure. I mean, that's just going away. So I mentioned Hydro Collectibles on Shoutouts. He did a really good video on DVDs, why he still buys them, So what do you guys think of this?
That kind of goes to the whole concept we were talking off stage today when I said about like comic collect or like what did I say, the web
digital
one,
that company that went under.
Yeah,
when you were talking.
Oh, yeah, right. I forget what it was too.
Whatever. They're Comixology. They're
Yes.
the one that's going. They're the one that they're going to stop doing the service. It's kind of like, well, if digital is going away on certain things now, then what's to say that you shouldn't just hang on to your physical copy stuff, because there may be a time where you're like, oh, this is gone. So I don't know. I have a bunch of for me, what I would always do is whenever DC Animated would come out with a new movie, I'd buy it. Like, even if it wasn't great, because for most of the time, DC Animated put out really good products. So it was like, you should buy it. So anytime it came out in a new Blu-ray, I bought the new Blu-ray. and all of a sudden, some of the most recent films haven't come out on Blu-ray, and I'm kind of like,
I think
All
the
right.
reason is this: I buy the DVD or whatever it is, the Blu-ray, because you have that solid, tangible copy that is yours forever.
Yes.
If we go with the streaming service, you are then forever committed to paying for that service, whatever it is, to see the movie or show you want to watch. That's where they're going. There's more money in that. There's less money in the DVD or the Blu-ray, whatever. At least I think so. They want you to be. Every service wants you to be subscribing forever. You know, we are slaves to whatever carrier we have on our cell phone, whether it's AT&T, Verizon, whatever. But you have to be paying for that carrier indefinitely to have your communication and your cell phone. It's no different here. So eventually, this is why I always stock up on something tangible. That way, no, I don't care where I'm at. I don't have to pay for a service while I want to watch a movie or a show. It's there.
Yeah, I still have a VHS of Star Wars. I don't have a VHS player, but I still got my Star Wars tape.
those
I still have
are
the
collectible now.
Yeah.
I still have some VHS of the original trilogy. Yeah,
Yeah.
So
I think I have a VHS of Batman '89 somewhere too. Somewhere, I think so. Yeah.
So let's look at the comments here really quick. Spine Tixie still buys Blu-rays, love them. Yeah, so do I, and Nowhere Bound Dave, great comments. And Dave replies, appreciate that, man. I speak the truth. So
Ephraim, we got to get Nowhere Bound on the show. He's roughly our age, and he knows what you and I know. And he's just I've watched his show. He's got a great show, great knowledge. So
yeah,
see what you can do.
Yeah.
You know what else? What else is different too is like, I think the big difference too is like what the Blu-rays and the DVDs, like you still get like the bonus features, like the deleted scenes,
yes.
you get all this extra stuff. You don't get any of that with the streaming stuff. So it's like
I hadn't thought of that. That's true.
That's like I like all that stuff because of the behind the scene things, or like how the score was developed, or how did they do certain things. Like I like all that. So I don't know.
We have this comment from Dave Collects. He says, I have VHS collection, use VHS more than DVD or Blu-ray. They don't make VHS tapes anymore, though, right?
I don't think not the blank ones. No.
Yeah. We have a comment here from Norban. Thanks, Dan. I'll shoot you out a message, Norban, see if you want to come on our show. Yeah, definitely. And let's get on to the next slide. Finally, the strike is over with. Looks like everybody's going to be going back to work, but I heard next season for TV shows, they are aiming between 10 to 15 episodes per show. And as obviously these shows are going to come out next year, who knows when, maybe March or April, but it looks like the strike is over with, and we're going to be seeing some new content, but it won't be until next year. We'll see if it's good. Yeah.
My only criticism now the strike is over, writers, stop being lazy. Start doing what you're supposed to be doing and having new, interesting, out of the box, creative thought. Stop rehashing stuff. You've been doing it for decades.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll come up. Hopefully they'll be reinvigorated and come up with new episodes and better episodes. And we have a comment here from Spine Tix. He goes, Nowhere Bound. His people will call your people. My people is myself. So I'll be sending you out a message. So
well, that's because Sith has people. He's got people to do things for him. So that's where he's coming from.
People yet, So
and it's true. Ephraim is his own people. He will call
person. I'm not so. And recommended. So this is a show that I'm recommending. I haven't seen it yet. It hasn't come out yet, but I've been seeing commercials for it, and I love this premise. It's called Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. This is going to be continuity. It's going to have like from some of the most recent Godzilla and King Kong movies. I heard it's going to be in continuity. This is going to be coming out on Apple TV, starring Kurt Russell and his son. I forgot his son's name, Wyatt Russell, who I believe was a U.S. agent in Winter Soldier.
Okay,
yeah, he was.
So this is coming out on November 17th. I'm really looking forward to this. I've always been, when it comes to King Kong or Godzilla, man, they can do no wrong in my books. And like I said, one of my picks for reading was the Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. So I'm looking forward to this show. Hopefully it's good. And next up, let's talk sports. So when we first started doing this show, I said, hey, Dan, we just came up with the idea. Why don't we talk a little bit about sports? So Dan's a big sports guy, so am I. I know Nando's big time into the NFL, so we decided to do a Let's Talk Sports segment. And before we go any further, Nowhere Band will be checking out that show. So I think it's going to be a good show. Fingers crossed. And the World Series champions, first time ever, were the Texas Rangers by my man. The coach was Bruce Bochy. You know, I did watch this on TV. I thought it was a good series. It was entertaining. I think it only went 5 games, though. I think, Texas, pretty much went and wiped them out, against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Like I said, it was Texas's very first World Series championship. Great feeling when you win a championship. The city, I'm sure everybody there was all so happy when they won.
A couple of things about I'm sorry, Daniel. Please go ahead.
And for franchises that have never won a title, there's nothing like your first.
Yep. So very happy for them. Just the excitement. And I remember when the Giants, it wasn't their first World Series, but it was their first World Series in decades when they won in 2010. I was just so happy. I just couldn't believe that they won in my lifetime. I was around to see it. So it's a great feeling.
Well, it's the first time San Francisco Giants had won. They'd won as the New York Giants, but never the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
But for the Rangers, a couple of points here. One, they had, since they had never won, there was never any, like there's jokes or sympathy or whatever that was leveled at my Cubs, leveled at the Cleveland Indians, and a few other franchises. No, they just, they were who they were. And it's, of course, it's wonderful to have your team finally win, but they won in such a unique fashion where they won all their games on the road. It was like 11 road games winning. They never won at home, which was unusual. It's never been done before. I think it's 11. I could be wrong, but all the road games were they shined as opposed to their homes. Usually a winning team, their strength is at home. They did it in such the most unique fashion. It was amazing. I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
And I'm just delighted. I'm still resentful towards the Houston Astros. When they cheated. They never did pay a price because the next year was the pandemic. Yeah. So there was going to be redemption on these guys, but there were more important things to deal with at the time. So I'm happy they got pushed to the wayside.
The Texas Rangers were in first place in the last game of the season, and they lost, and Houston won. So, Houston became the winners of the West, American League West, and the Texas Rangers had to play in the 2 out of 3 and to begin the playoff hunt. So the last game of the season, they lost and they dropped to second place, and they weren't in first place. So they had a long way to go, but you're right. They won like about 11 games on the road, which is a record.
Unheard of.
So this was the next slide. Dan wanted to talk about this. I think it's a great topic. When he brought this up, I'm like, we got to talk about this. So umpires, how they just can, when an umpire makes a bad call, obviously it changes the outcome of a game. They're so picky, they're so sensitive. But then you talk more about it. This was your, you wanted to talk more about this, so.
Well, the rules were changed this past year with Major League Baseball, the time clock, which I didn't care for. I still don't, but it seemed to have worked. And there were a few other changes. I just wish they would stop monkeying around with the game. Let them play baseball. Baseball's fine as it is. Now, regarding the umpire, they have the technology to call balls and strikes with far more accuracy. The reason why they didn't have it back in the day, the technology didn't exist. So you needed an actual person who, in theory, made judgment calls based on his eyesight, good or bad. And for the most part, umpires are okay. You get frustrated with a bad call. But there's some umpires that have no business being at the professional, even college level. Angel Hernandez is that particular person. His calling, I don't know if it's eyesight or if he's just a jackass and wants to be provocative or whatever, but there's something very wrong with this particular picture, that he is wrong more often than he's right. Where is Major League Baseball, who runs the Umpires Association, to kick this guy out, straighten him out, retrain him? He should not be on the field. He should absolutely not be on the field. There's been again a few umpires that I've thought were really stupid, like in 2003 when the Cubs had to deal with the Steve Bartman situation. That was clearly fan interference. It wasn't called. Dusty Baker was a lazy bastard who was the Cubs manager at the time, didn't protest it. Even the announcers saying, "This is fan interference. This doesn't look good." Well, nothing happened. But anyway, that was a famous one-time thing. Hernandez is consistently wrong. He's absolutely consistently wrong. What happens moving forward, I don't know. But if there's any umpire that's out there that gives justification to having an automatic computerized strike zone, call balls and strikes, that's the guy. Angel Hernandez needs to go.
What the problem is their union is so strong, you can't fire an umpire.
That's wrong. You're right, but that's correct. That's wrong on MLB to do that.
I remember when the umpires went on strike. I think it was over 10 years ago now. MLB said, "Okay, bye," and they started bringing in other umpires like from college level, and
right.
Umpires had to backtrack, and some of them got their jobs back. I think right then and there they should have just laid down the hammer, saying, "Hey, your union was so strong," but they said, "Okay, guys, go. We don't need you. We'll bring somebody else up that wants to do it."
Well, that also goes back to when they got rid of it was the owners that took over the commissioner's office. The last commissioner we had was Fay Vincent. He was not a great commissioner. He was a stupid commissioner, but he was a commissioner. The commissioner's office used to be an objective overseer to oversee baseball, the operations and so forth, and the commissioner's office was respected. Well, that was not good enough for the owners, so they took over that entity, and it became a game for the owners by the owners, and they make stupid decisions. This is one of them, by just letting these things go. So the more they screw with this whole thing, baseball is literally my last stand regarding sports. I don't watch any other sport. I won't watch sports until spring training. But when they screw up baseball for good, that'll be the last professional sport that I will follow.
Yeah. So let's look at some of the comments here. Yep, replace the home plate umpire with a machine. Yeah, I think that's the way they should go. And Dan Rant. Okay, part 2. Good. Like that. And we got Noah down laughing about it. Nando, you follow baseball as much as we do, or do you enjoy it?
No, you guys are definitely the baseball side. I'm definitely more of the basketball and football side of everything, in collegiate football. So, but I agree. I think that, if you're finding somebody in any level of the profession that you're at, especially at that professional level of the major leagues, there's got to be something that's got to be pulled, because you're not just damaging the image of every umpire, you're damaging the game. And when you start to influence and damage the game in a negative facet in any level, you don't belong there anymore.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I don't think much is going to happen, but hopefully they will bring in with a machine, get rid of the balls and strikes from umpires. That's atrocious. And here we go. Dan, you can fall asleep. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL here. We're just going to see, just looking at the current standings in the East, the AFC. Miami is in first place. Buffalo just lost to Denver on Monday night. Can't believe they did that.
And they just fired their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and the Jets without Aaron Rodgers are going nowhere. And look at New England. I guess it was Tom Brady after all these years.
And now they've actually said that they've come to a mutual agreement that at the end of the year, that if Belichick and them disagree on things, that they'll mutually part ways.
Yeah, I think they should. I don't think Belichick wants to do any. He's just stuck in his ways,
I think now he's just grumpy and mad because he's grumpy and mad, not because he just wanted to look grumpy and mad.
And on the North, we have Baltimore at 7-3, Pittsburgh 6-3, Cleveland. Deshaun Watson just closed it up for the season. He's going to have shoulder surgery.
Shoulder surgery.
And Cincinnati's 5-4. They just lost to Houston.
They play Baltimore tomorrow for Thursday night.
Thursday night game, yeah. And then in the South, we have Jacksonville 6-3, Houston surprise 5-4, Indy's 5-5, and Tennessee's 3-6.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston wins the division this year.
Wow. People are saying that,
I believe in DeMeco Ryan. I believe in the culture he's developed, and CJ Stroud is a stud. So if they continue what they're doing, I can see them winning the division.
They're only a game out.
Yeah. I don't trust Jacksonville right now. I just don't. They're too hot and cold.
And then in the AFC, as usual, we have Kansas City and everybody else is below them. Vegas, Chargers, and Denver. But Denver's, they're starting to play better after they got.
So
wiped out
so
by
are the
Miami.
Raiders. So
Yeah.
are the Raiders.
Let's see some of the comments here before we go on to the NFC. Raiders for life, but also go Purdy and the Niners. I agree 100%. Ooh,
That's some.
prediction here. Oh, by Ian says Raiders are making the playoffs. Dang.
I don't. That might happen. Antonio Pierce has them playing
Yeah.
like a ragtag Raider style football, smash mouth, hit you in the face kind of ball. So
Yeah.
it's
Let's
possible.
at the NFC, we have Philadelphia at 8-1. Dallas, who only beats up bad teams, are at 6-3.
Yeah, Dallas sucks.
Washington. Now, there's rumors that Belichick may go to Washington. I was like, God, you guys are making a mistake.
See, if anything happens, Washington, I see Rivera stepping down, and I see Bieniemy getting a chance at being a head coach finally.
I like to see that. And the Giants, God, they're doing terrible this year. Another New York team.
You know what? As much as I want to beat up on the Giants, by the way, if I'm going to lose a lot of followers on this one, but if you don't care, I don't care because I'm an Eagle fan. I've been an Eagle fan for a long, long time. And as much as the Giants suck, I actually want to say they've gotten a really bad opportunity this year with just a lot of injuries, bad play, just like things. I don't want to say it's all on Brian Daboll, but I mean, this is a comedy of errors that everything happened to the Giants this year.
Yeah. I mean, compared to last year, they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And look at here, Detroit at 7-2. They, the second best record in the NFC, man. They're going to be a tough team to beat if they get home field advantage.
Detroit is not a joke right now.
Yeah, we have Minnesota. They're making a comeback. They're at 6-4. Green Bay, after you guys lost Aaron Rodgers, done. Chicago, they're also at 3-7. The NFC South, everybody's at 500 or below. Somebody's got to win the division. We'll see who does, So
Yeah.
New Orleans, Tampa, Atlanta, and Carolina. And last but not least, my Niners are 6-3. They beat Jacksonville last week. And Seattle 6-3 also. They're going to be playing Thanksgiving. And then we have the Rams and Arizona in last place. So that's it for the NFL. Let me see here. Where was I going to look here? I wasn't going to show the NBA or the NHL. I do watch.
It's too early for that still.
I don't want to talk about them that much. But the season's going on. They'll be done next year. And, wow, this was – I heard Bill's going to the Chargers. I heard that also. I don't think.
Yeah.
I heard he doesn't want to leave the East Coast, from the
If you're going to go somewhere, LA's not bad.
Okay, Dan, wake up. Okay, predictions. So,
Well, you mentioned falling asleep. If you watch Spine Ticks towards the end of the show, I was so exhausted. I was falling asleep. I apologized to Sith the next day because he loves to get clips of me and anybody else, and he's got a couple of me. I'm just out cold. I'm just practically snoring. So if you watch me, I'm asleep a couple of times. So I shouldn't say anything because probably now Sith is digging through last week's episode. Okay, here's another clip on Dan. All right, here we go. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, no predictions. No. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got here.
But before we go on to that, Spine Ticks says go Lakers.
Let's go Lakers. Even though we lost to the Kings tonight, it's okay.
Kings and Ducks. Okay, so this is a new segment, predictions. I didn't show these guys these slides. Predictions, basically, what do you think is going to happen? So you guys ready for the first one?
Roll it.
We've been talking about this a little bit before. Would you guys think the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, will ever be the same?
No.
No.
No, the reason why they've lost their way, they forgot their basics. Why they became so potent and popular in the first place was because they were using Silver Age storyline, and that will forever be popular because they were dynamite stories. Now they're getting away from that, and it can be salvaged. Yes. Are they going to do it? No.
Do you think Kevin Feige should step down? Do you think he's getting burnt out?
I don't think it's Feige's fault. I think the people that are around him that are the problem. I could be wrong about that. I think Feige has got he's again, it's not Feige. He's not getting the right people. I don't know how much authority he has if he's coordinating the whole thing. I mean, one of the best people was Jon Favreau. He's got a great understanding of the MCU. He should be in charge of a lot of it because what he touches turns to gold.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, it needs experienced people like everyone on this panel here to guide them through it. They're not doing that.
Yeah. Favreau's got his hands full with Star Wars right now.
You think
That's
they should
too bad.
The Russo brothers?
They're good. Favreau's better.
Yeah.
Favreau is better. I think the thing is we're looking at the MCU. It's like, will it ever be the same? Well, it's never the same when you fall in love for the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
You have to fall back in love, and you find things to fall in love again day to day and over with. Right. You find opportunity to do so, and I don't think the MCU is right now giving us opportunity to fall in love again.
With one exception, though, Loki. I fell in love with that. Again, you fall in love with that because, again, it reminded me of why you fell in love in the first place. And this goes back to my complete distrust of DC. The first time I ever fell in love with the DC universe, because, again, I had that same kind of love when I was a child, was when they had the Black Adam movie. I'm one of the few people that saw something in that movie, especially when they brought Black Adam with Henry Cavill Superman. Again, that's what I've been waiting to see. They finally did it, and it was destroyed as soon as James Gunn said, "No, we're not going to do this." So, screw it. They're again, they lost me.
We have a great comment here from Nowhere Bound. They should watch Iron Man 1 and do like that. So
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And Dan, I think you've been reading my mind. Here comes the next question. Will James Gunn vision be a success? So.
No. I'm not. No, I'm not a hater. Guys, you have to understand. Those who've been criticizing me, I don't hate James Gunn. I don't hate James Zaslav. I'm wishing them success. But like the sports franchise analysis that I see, again, you got bad people at the front office. They're picking the wrong people on the playing field. They're using the wrong game strategy. It's going to lose. They're going to fail. If I'm wrong, I will be the first to say, yes, I was wrong. These are delightful. That's not going to happen.
What about you, Nando?
I'm lighting my candles in on the mantle to hope and pray. I
thought you were having a candles of mourning, like
no,
like when someone passed.
I'm lighting my round candles that have DC Universe written all over it and Batman and the stained glass windows and concepts. I'm hoping. I mean, like, there's a reason why DC fans really puff their chest up when it comes to the animated universe, because that's their biggest success. Yes. That's where the wins really are. Their stories in that form are better than anything I'd say put on the big screen. But we're hoping, right? I want Gunn to be successful, and I want the DCU to be successful, because, like I said, if the DCU is successful, I think it pushes Marvel to be better.
We have a comment here from, before I show you the next slide, we have a comment here from Spintex. Star Wars lost me, and I'm Sith Lord. So.
Well, same thing. The people, when Disney bought Star Wars, they just thought they could throw any of that there and put a Star Wars tag on it, and people will buy it. Well, no, the Star Wars people are sophisticated. They knew what George Lucas wanted and what he tried to project. Same with the Star Trek people. We knew what Gene Roddenberry wanted. And same with Marvel. We know what Stan Lee and the bullpen wanted and what they tried to project, and we're not seeing it.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready for the next prediction?
Yes.
All right. Will physical comics, and we touched on this briefly, will physical comic books ever go away?
No.
I've heard this, every now and then throughout the years, but I don't think it'll ever go away.
No.
I think it's here to stay.
I think that's one of the most. We still see it today. It's one of the only things that are in print that are successful and profitable. Yeah. That are left in this world. I think comics, they've been around for over 100 years. I think it's one thing. It's one of the things that it's ignored and pushed to the side, I think, in the major mainstream of the world. But I think you look at it, and it's the only thing that's still successful today that you can rely on and trust. And I think it's not going to go away. It's one of the physical medias that will still maintain.
Yeah.
Will it have ups and downs just like anything else? Yes. Will it have successes and failures just like everything else? Yes. But will it still be around? I would be willing to say that my kids' grandkids will still be able to buy physical comic books.
Nice.
Well, look at this idea to put a comic and preserve it in this protective case here. This became great success because we have such deep love and passion for these things. We want them to be around as long as possible. This extends the life 20, 30 years, if not longer, to have it in this case. So no, but that's not going to go around in our lifetime, Nando's lifetime, because he's a lot younger than us. So no, that'll never go away. There will be digital comics, but it'll never, ever overtake the physical comic.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too. I have another comment here from Spintex. I'm still reading the Star Wars Expanded Universe novels into the hundreds, and the stories are better than anything Disney put on the screen.
Correct. 100%.
And okay, Who will play and win the Super Bowl? I think I'm going for the Niners because I was born in San Francisco, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Nando?
EAGLES Eagles. Fly
Eagles.
Eagles fly, baby.
Dan, do you want to say anything, or should we just go on to the next slide?
I'm going to the next slide.
All right.
Oh, Dan, I was about to say, if you were about to say go Birds, I was about to send something up north for you.
I'm a Bears fan. When I was following football, I was a Bears fan. So I did run into two Bears fans here in the Bay Area, and he said, shh, don't admit you're a Bears fan. So
No, be proud of that. Be proud of
I
that.
am proud of that, yeah. But they're not doing well this year.
It's all right.
All right. Next and last segment is the comic book market. And shut up and take my money. This is what I used to do. I used to sell my book. I used to just every month. I used to buy at least $100 worth of new comic books for for advanced orders. Now I've really cut it down. This month I'm not even going to buy any new comic books, But what about you guys? Do you guys still buy new comic books, or do you just focus on older books?
I'll just say I buy comic books.
Okay. All right.
I am reduced quite a bit regarding how much I'm buying. Like I said, I just bought this one. Literally just came in today, but I'm looking for deals. I've way scaled back, but I'm not stopping buying. The biggest purchase I made over the last several months was Fantastic 459. I got a nice mid-low grade 3.5. But it's, again, we got to be very careful with the economy. As bad as it is, it's going to get worse. It's just that's reality. But that doesn't mean the comic market's going to go away. At the height of it was $9 billion in 2021. Wow. I think that's shrunk by 2/3 at least. Whenever the economy goes bad, collectibles hurt the most.
Right.
Because if you think about it, it's a luxury item.
Yeah, non-necessities.
Yes, exactly. But we also need, even in depression, people needed their entertainment. Yeah. This is entertainment.
And it's a cheap form of entertainment too.
Yes. So people will still buy. They'll buy at a cheaper rate, but they will still buy. I mean, again, I'm not stopping my buying purchases. Even if it's, $50 a month, that's still $50 that's going into the market.
Yep.
Looks like Spinetix, he just got the new G.I. Joe today. Excited. Right on, man.
Oh, lucky.
Oh, I heard that was a good story, actually.
And this next slide is our good friend Ian and Spacefarer Collectibles. They have a new show. It's on Go Collect. It's not on Go Collect. It's on Ian's YouTube channel. Basically, they pick out the cold comics. Comic books are going down in price. And here is the link to Ian's YouTube page. I'll also have it in the description on this video. So basically, I think it's once a week or once every couple of weeks, they just show books that are going down in price, and that's why they call it cold comics.
So Ian and Space, so Hoodrat and Spacefarer Collectibles, they go out there and they go out and they find the books that are dropping in price because they want to make sure that the community has an opportunity to pick up books at a good value. Yeah. They talk about different price points at a 9.8, at an 8.0, at a 7.5. Dropping price. Where would you want to be at in the medium of it? But I will say this, for them, they've done one thing really well, and that's keeping it cool, baby. They've done a good job with it.
Nice.
Okay, Nando was auditioning for the show. So, Ian, you've got a new member for your crew there. So the three of you should be profiling these. No, I've been watching his show, and they're doing a great job profiling so many of the comics, but their list is growing because, again, the economy is so bad. Comics are coming way down. And books you wouldn't expect, like Amazing Fantasy 194, First Black Cat, and a few others. But this also goes to another element too, the MCU, because Swaglass touched on this in his piece today, that spec is sort of gone. We used to spec because the market was expanding. There was a lot of free money, so comics were going way up. So there was wild speculation. Even the smallest rumor caused a book to spike. Yeah. Now that the MCU is gotten away from the original storyline of Silver, Bronze, and Copper, they're going on their own. It's almost impossible to spec. And even if it does, like look at the Marvels movie, that's why I profiled the books that I did. Those comics are going to go way down in value, so that the spec is gone. So if you want to buy that doesn't mean you're not going to buy them. I plan on getting them if I see them for a good price. But Ian and Space are doing a great job profiling, what the market as it is.
Yeah, they've done a good job with it so far.
like I said, this is on Ian's YouTube channel, and you see the link right below us. And also in the description, I also put a link to his YouTube channel. It's a great show. The segment I watch all the time too. It's very interesting.
Just makes me feel bad. I don't have an ASM 129. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, you and I both.
Let me see if I can do this now. Let me see. So I was gonna. This is online here. Okay, hang on here. You guys see this?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is also from Go Collect. This is a market overview of comic books. These are the hottest comic books within the last 30 days. We see the usuals. We see Spawn #1.
Always there. Spawn is always there.
Always there, yeah. And Marvel Superheroes #2. It's up 1 from #3. And we have Venom, Lethal Protector, #1. It's up 3 from #6. And looks like Amazing Spider-Man #300 is same at #4. And New Mutants, these are books that have just been around for decades.
Yeah,
we have New Mutants up 6 from #11. And this is a new book, Spider-Man #7, Ramos Top Secret spoiler variant. Looks like it's hanging in there, Spider-Boy. Up 9 from 15. And Wolverine series down 5 from #2.
4-part.
And Star Wars #1.
#1.
Down 3 from #5. And Amazing Spider-Man
#52.
Newsstand edition, up 3. And rounding out the top 10 is Spider-Man #1 Silver Edition, up 3 from 13. And this is, God, these are chart busters. I was looking at this, I went, dang. Incredible Hulk #1, a 6.5 sold for a little bit over 34,000 back in October. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, a 9.0 sold for 25,000. This is recently, about a week ago. I looked at this one. I mean, why is this one so expensive? This is Amazing Spider-Man #1, $3,000. It's sold on November 5th. You see the comic book on the left-hand side. It says here, with great responsibility. That's by Stan Lee. And he wrote that quote. And that's why I believe it cost so much, $20,000. Somebody paid for that.
Well, hold on. That's a Stan Lee, his signature, and they're worth their weight in gold. There used to be the movers and shakers had an exact price for what if a Silver Age book is $100, you add another, what was it, $271 and some odd cents for the Stan Lee signature. They had it down to a science, but now that's really, really gone up because again, Stan's passing was some time ago.
So that's the end of the show. Oh, there's one more slide here. Let me see if I can find it here. Anything else? You guys want to talk about anything else, or are we done for tonight?
I just wanted to say thank you guys for bringing me on and letting me hang out with you guys and talk comics and talk books and talk shop. It's been a lot of fun this year with you guys and just doing it. And I look forward to more time with you guys and sharing experiences that I get throughout the year.
Yeah, it's been fun. Like I said, I started this show. We hopefully got one more show in December. We'll see. If I can get these guys together for December. I know December's going to be crazy with all the holidays, but hopefully we'll be back December to do one more show. If not, we'll start again next year in January. So.
No, I always look forward to this once a month. There's always lots of things to talk about.
Yeah.
For me, it's going to be a busy weekend for me. I'll be on the hunt on Friday. It's Hustlemania. It's their big. It's like the WrestleMania, and it's their biggest show of the year. And I intend to keep my losing streak alive. I'm 0-4. I'm going to be 0-6. Trust me. I play a lawyer on the show, and my job was to make everybody despise me, and I've done such a great job. Nobody votes for me. Anyway. And then Saturday on Spine Ticks, that's always a lot of fun. And then Sunday I'll be doing the Comic Book Corner on Ian's show, the Hood Rat show. We'll tape it on Sunday. It'll drop later in the week. So I'll get into more detail about that article that Ephraim you talked about on the show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to break down on that, and a few other things. I have a few extra little goodies that I have planned for that show. That's always a lot of fun for me.
My daughter on Sundays, she goes, Dad, what are you doing on Sundays? I go, I've been doing this for such a long time. Sunday is like from the morning until the evening. I'm just on my TV watching football. It's I just watch it all the time. I woke up at 6:30 this last Sunday because they were playing
the Frankfurt game. Yeah.
God, I woke up to watch that game, and I didn't end watching football till about 8:00 at night.
I normally I normally use my smoker in the back during football season, and for the past couple weeks I've been neglecting it. So I think maybe this weekend I need to spoil my family a little bit and put the smoker to work this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think that's the show for tonight. I was trying to do it under 2 hours, so we're almost at 2 hours and 15 minutes. But I'm sure you guys want to go to bed. You guys have to work tomorrow. I get to sleep in.
do.
So, but until next time, everybody. Hopefully, we'll be back next month. Everybody, be safe and take care.